so we can start our workshop. And first up is Barry. Do you want to introduce the solid waste?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. So we have a couple items for you this morning. The first up is Paul Sacco providing an ordinance update. Sound of the back. So the Paul Sacco's up. He's going to provide just an overview and an update on where we're going with our solid waste ordinance. And so I'll turn it over to Paul at this point.
Morning, everybody. Paul Sacco, Department of Solid Waste. So current ordinance hasn't been revised for 30-plus years. It was originally put in place when the waste energy facility was constructed, and we're here today to kind of gauge the board's interest in regarding some of the topics to be revised and/or added. If you recall, in 2020, the board adopted the Solid Waste Master Plan and its vision for zero waste to landfill by 2050. And one master plan recommendation is to revisit the solid waste ordinance and consider making changes that would establish the regulatory framework for the future integrated solid waste management system, program, and infrastructure. Desired outcomes from the ordinance revision would include supporting that master plan vision, where much attention is needed in the areas of waste reduction, reuse, and recycling. Successful waste diversion programs and practices would reduce the volume of municipal solid waste delivered to the complex for recovery and/or disposal. And staff is proposing the ordinance be reformed to mimic or reformatted to mimic the EPA's waste management hierarchy, which most of us are aware. It's important to draw comparisons from the master plan recommendations with the results of staff's research to this point, and then develop a list of proposed revisions. And then lastly, efforts would be made to remove any kind of duplicative and/or outdated information.
Question, real quick, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
I just, and maybe you'll talk about this in a bit, but I know some folks had come out to tour the facility some time ago and talked about the carbon recapture piece. And we're looking at environmental ways to save energy and that kind of thing. Is that being looked at all as far as your research is considered?
Not specific to the ordinance revision, but carbon recapture is a technology that's just being developed in some areas. Some areas you're looking at carbon sequestration, which again it's a technology that's been around but not adopted on this scale. But it would be something as that technology becomes available, we could look at. But right now, it's not applied at the waste energy facility.
My understanding had been that they were looking for pilot opportunities. So anyway, back to your ordinance discussion, but I just want to make sure that that's not off the radar. So
No, sir.
To that point, if I may, Paul, I remember a long time ago in another chapter of my life having this discussion in the legislature. And isn't sequestration the part where you put it way into the ground? But my understanding from my brain going back to that discussion way back when, Pinellas County wouldn't be a good fit for that kind of a thing because of the fact that our county is on an aquifer.
Commissioner, I am not an expert in that world, and I have not specifically looked at that. It may be true. I mean, we would have to look at the hydrogeology for the area to see if that could happen. It could be requiring super deep well type injection.
Right,
where
it would, because you'd have to go beyond the depth of the aquifer.
Right. So it's not off the table, but it's not something on our near-term radar. I mean, I think we would need that technology to be developed a little bit more before we would make that kind of investment. Right now, the facility's operating per our permits, per FDEP, in the areas of emissions that included carbon dioxide.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Continue, please.
So activity to date, solid waste established a small team to review the existing ordinance and categorize areas that are current and accurate, possibly need revision. Like I said, anything that's duplicative or no longer current, and new topics for consideration. The solid waste staff also conducted research of North American municipal solid waste operations in search of best industry practices and lessons learned that could be applied to this ordinance revision. A draft ordinance outline was prepared and reviewed by management. That outline was also taken out to the community in a series of stakeholder engagement meetings in the months through July or March through July 2023. So I like to say that trash touches everyone. We all have a hand in whether it's generated and whether you're pulling your cart out to the curb. You know, it's a public safety issue if we're not handling and collecting and processing it correctly. And as you can see, there's many topical areas that are components of municipal solid waste. And we're familiar with most or all of these topics. And when you view them individually, it's easy to define and discuss and even make decisions around them. But when you look at them collectively or they become integrated, you know, it sets up the levers and the boundaries that kind of form the integrated solid waste management system. And when you're pulling on one, you're generally affecting one or more areas, and things get a little bit more complicated. So comparing the master plan recommendations to the results of staff research to this point, here's the list of topics that kind of rose to the top or receiving the most attention. Mandatory recycling for single-family residences in the unincorporated area generated the most interest, and rightly so, as it has many touch points with several stakeholders. The county has been approached by the cities to construct and operate a materials recovery facility, also known as a MRF, aka a material or a recycling materials processing facility. The effort to determine if building a new facility versus we move towards a countywide contract in the private sector has been placed on hold until we can better determine a guaranteed tonnage for the recycled materials that are being collected countywide. And the unknown piece with that right now is in the unincorporated areas, as that material is done or collected on a voluntary basis, where in all the municipalities within Pinellas County, it's actually mandatory. So we have that missing piece, and we need to determine whether that's something that we would want to move forward and continue to evaluate so that we can include that tonnage and go out with a guaranteed tonnage out on the street for private processing, or that guaranteed tonnage would need to be used if we are looking to scope and develop a county-owned MRF, if you would. So we need to discuss.
Hold on,
whether that's
Paul.
a
I
piece.
think there's a bit of discussion on that issue. Barry?
Just as a clarification, Commissioners, it's not, when they say mandatory, it means that recycling is included within your fee. So whether the municipality pays for it or it's billed individually, it's one fee. There's nobody driving around making sure you're recycling, but it's included in its fee. Right now, it's optional in the unincorporated area on whether or not. So this would just mean that recycling would be offered as part of your garbage collection as a fee. So just a small clarification for what the difference is between like the way the municipalities do it and the way we do it in the unincorporated.
So do we have any idea what that cost would be if we were to go with including it,
Well,
part of the
we
service?
only know from the municipalities that range is anywhere from like $3.50 to $10 a month. In the unincorporated areas, we would need to conduct more research and get a little bit more information, and that's what we're asking today. If the board has an appetite for us to continue down this road, we would look to move just to get more detail and more information around that, go back out to the stakeholders and let them know what we find, and then we would bring that information back to you, you know, probably in the summer.
And part of the just for another part of the reason it's a little more difficult in the unincorporated areas is we don't have franchise agreements. We don't have fixed contracts for certain areas, and it would almost be impossible. It'd be very, very hard to do because you have so many homeowners associations where the garbage collection is contracted and done through the gated communities and things like that, and so you've got a variety of ways in which garbage is collected now. So part of that's going to be based upon that billing practice of whether it's through a homeowners association or whether it's through individual contracts to where you have 3 trucks running up and down a road. And pricing would be reflective of the economy of scale that the companies have. And so it'd be very different within different parts of unincorporated.
I still think it might be a worthwhile, I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I think it would be a worthwhile subject matter to get the information and just see what the options might be. I mean, we tackle a lot of very difficult things and seem to come up with some very innovative solutions. What does everyone else think? Commissioner Latmauer? Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, I think we should look at it. I mean, it takes a little time to get the, people, into it. But when you talk about building a MRF, and if that's, the idea is the question mark is how much is the unincorporated going to do? It's critical that we do it. I just don't like the idea of, being dependent on these independent MRF facilities that, how they function in terms of supply demand of raw products or of the stuff that we're recycling. So, yeah, I'd like to pursue it.
Commissioner Peters?
Yes.
Commissioner Justice?
Thank you. On the mandatory, I guess I'd want to see what the reaction was from the vendors and the haulers, and how many haulers we have that have the capability, what the fees would be. Those, do we have, I don't even know, do we have one of the vendors that has a great majority of the contracts, and can they get, so they can scale down the cost? I mean, that's really would be my biggest thought about what the cost increase, because if they've only got one small neighborhood, the cost is going to be dramatically more than it is for me in the city of St. Petersburg to do the recycling. And I was reading the woman's letter that we got the other day, who laid out the comparison between her vendor in Pinellas and the vendor comparable in Hill. So those would be my concerns.
Sure.
Commissioner Flowers? There you go.
And you already require that the haulers offer recycling, right?
Yes, on a
Yeah,
voluntary
so
basis.
so they have to have the capability right now. And so all you're doing is saying that it would all be part of one fee rather than offering it as a separate fee. And you would, and so so you're not excluding competition by doing that, but it would give them certainty and help them in making a decision regarding how big to build a MRF or not. So.
Okay, but I think you've got the will of the board to explore it and see what you come up with.
Appreciate it. Thank
We're
you.
kind of talking in a vacuum at the moment because we don't have enough information. All right, please continue.
So another opportunity, or second on the list, is food waste collection and processing. This is an opportunity where we have the opportunity to reduce approximately 200,000 tons of waste that's currently being landfilled every year. As previously communicated, the waste energy facility is going to be at capacity in 2026. Approximately 30% of the waste that's being brought to solid waste is organic food waste, and of that 30%, 2/3 is food waste that's being generated in the commercial and institutional sector. The master plan recommends that staff further research a program for commercial food waste segregation, collection, and processing. And by diverting that 20%, that commercial portion of the organic food waste from the waste energy facility for processing in a different manner would provide capacity for us to divert waste that's being currently landfilled, usually in the form of bulky waste, and we can burn that material as opposed to putting it in the landfill. So hence, that's the 200,000 tons per year that we would be talking about. The processing of the organic waste would come in a different form. Most likely, the technologies that are out there is either anaerobic digestion and or composting on a larger scale. And why this sounds like a great opportunity and maybe even sounds like a no-brainer, the physical aspects of this are going to prove to be very difficult because it's going to require additional collection containers at these places of businesses that may or may not have space for that type of container. So we need to look at this, certainly more in depth. The municipalities, when we talk with them at our stakeholder engagement meetings, we're in favor of this, but cited the same physical obstacles. So staff is currently contracted with a consultant for conducting 3 tasks. The first is to go out and search in North America those operations that have done this on a successful platform. The second is to generate a list of businesses in Pinellas County that generate waste. And then the third would be to survey those businesses to see what opportunities, if any, would kind of spark any kind of significant interest or opportunity. If that was to occur and there was that interest, then we would conduct a business impact analysis that would be required to do, because it would be a layer that would be placed on businesses if we were to look to continue down this road. All that information would then be brought back out to the stakeholders, get their engagement, make any kind of revisions that are necessary before we would bring that back. But before we move down that lane, it's I think it's necessary we do, what we've asked the consultant to do, but dig in based on that information and bring that information back. But we're just kind of looking for the board's, interest on whether that's something that you want us to continue on while we're moving down this road with the ordinance.
Commissioner Eggers?
So I just need a little education. So all of these restaurants that are generating food waste are collected by some hauler, and it doesn't go into the plant, the burn plant. It just goes straight to.
Oh, no, it's mixed. Your containers at your existing businesses is a mixed municipal solid waste. So that container is picked up, put in the garbage truck, the larger truck, and brought to our facility, and we burn it. And whatever we can't burn, for some reason, would be landfilled. In this case, we would be asking to separate the food waste portion into a different container, and that container would be picked up separately and brought to a different processing area where the balance of their waste would be brought to the waste energy facility as it is today.
So it would be a more efficient way of disposing of that.
Correct.
Well, it generates less waste, but the biggest issue, Commissioner, on this is is space for them to separate things out. And then the number of dumpster hauls, because you start collecting waste, you got to pull it before it stinks, different than, you're putting everything in one and you get 2 dumpster pulls a week.
So is that, not to get too into the weeds, but like at home, we're putting it all together. You pick it all up and you take it. So what's the difference?
Well, there could be long-term, it may be that there's residential food waste collection, programs, but right now, the biggest bang for the buck, the 20% of what's being brought to us is in the commercial world, and that's where we would need to build that infrastructure based on that type of tonnage, that type of volume. We wouldn't see that in the single-family world. That would be much more complex out of the gate.
Okay, I'm still confused, but that's okay. I don't want to take too much time talking about that, but I didn't know that our processing at home should be any different. So we just throw it all together. You're saying we should be what? What should we be doing with the food waste collection at home?
Same thing, just no changes. No changes at home.
All right.
We're only looking at businesses right now, or proposing to look at businesses.
But I don't throw everything all together. I have 2 different bins. One is for recycling, and the other one is for everything else.
Correct. But Commissioner Edwards was talking about food waste.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah.
That's what you have a yes, Commissioner Justice.
Maybe we're missing something. So we separate it out at the commercial, and it goes, when the food waste gets brought to our site, what happens to it?
It would go to a different type of processing, either anaerobic digestion, composting, or whatnot.
Okay, that's the reason for the separation, not.
And the importance,
It's eliminated out of the waste stream.
the importance to separate that is you can't perform anaerobic digestion or the composting with anything other than organic materials. If anything's contaminated, like you have contamination in recycling, it just hurts the process. I mean, you almost have to you might as well not even brought it to us.
It's kind of like in St. Pete where they have the compost, they distribute the compost bins. So they're doing that at home, putting in that food waste.
Just the board's interest on whether we should pursue it. And in light of what we're doing with the ordinance, I doubt that this would even be put in place by the time the ordinance is brought back to you, but it would most likely be a placeholder because you've asked us to continue down that road. Yes.
What does that equate to in terms of what's going into the landfill every year?
Well, that 200,000 tons would be diverted from the landfill.
Understand, but how much is
We collect at the site on a given year about 1.2 million tons a year. So
for the landfill?
total, what's being burnt and what is being landfilled, the total is 1.2 million. Right now, we landfill between 200,000 and 300,000 tons a year.
Okay, and that's mostly coming from this?
Yes. Well, it's not so much the organics, but if we can remove the organics out, we can take what's currently being landfilled and incinerate it.
There's Mike.
Are you asking us for direction, Paul?
Yes.
What is your,
I'd like to explore it, but
explore it, explore it, explore it? We have a unanimous consensus to explore the issue further.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So next up is in addition to the ordinance, more just a revision. The solid waste staff is currently tasked to administer and manage private hauler licensing, and we're just looking to tighten up the language. And there's several areas that we would look to tighten up, just to make sure that we're providing the highest level of service to the customers in the unincorporated areas. And that comes from the correct signage on the trucks going down the road that tell the residents whether they're collecting garbage or recycling, or some areas they use the same truck for both. It's just an education. It helps the residents because we get calls about that frequently, that, you know, collection of recycling is being put in the trash truck and it's not being done. This kind of helps with that if there's signage on the vehicles. We also want to make sure that the vehicles have materials on board that if there's any kind of fluid leak that they can, you know, provide spill response for that. We want to ensure that the vehicles have GPS so that we can either audit or do investigative work with our haulers in case there's any kind of complaints. We have reporting requirements to FDEP that we need better reporting from the private haulers to help us with that reporting. It's required. Publishing fees and rates, right now that's not happening, and I think that would assist our unincorporated residents when they're making decisions on what hauler to choose. We need better definition on bounds of storm debris and what happens for post-storm collection as far as responsibilities. And then also just looking to shore up the level of service requirements and/or any kind of enforcement language. Now, I'll tell you, we've talked to the private haulers about this during our engagement meetings, and we haven't received any kind of negative feedback from what's being proposed. I think it's language that you would see in other areas where these haulers are conducting that work. So not really asking direction here so much, just more of an information that's something that we're looking to tighten up.
Thank you.
Next, staff has been researching another new initiative.
Paul, hold on, please.
I
Commissioner
just think
Peters.
the publishing the fees is a really, really important, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So we've been looking at possibly requiring large event promoters to meet low waste generation criteria when they're holding events on county property. When these events are being held, they generate a lot of waste. And that waste is typically taken away. It's not like it's left for the parks or whatnot to deal with, but all that waste comes to us. I can tell you that Solid Waste held an Eco Fun Fest about 4 or 5 years ago, where we've done a lot of pre-planning for a low waste event with vendors. We brought in large water stations, and we successfully diverted about 80%, 85% of the waste from that event. So we know it's something that can be done. As we move through this, this may not rise to the level of an ordinance. It may be able to be handled administratively through the permit process. But just wanted to let you know that this is something that we're working on. We're not talking about, you know, tens of thousands of tons of trash, but it does set the example. I will tell you that the Pinellas Partners in Recycling is working on a low waste guide. We've seen the city of Cleveland do this successfully in their area. So we're looking to maybe work on something regionally that can be done not just in the county owned properties under this ordinance or permit process, but what other municipalities in the region may be able to do. And then when you kind of do that on a larger scale, then you're certainly minimizing the amount of tonnage that's generated from this type of event. So just wanted to let you know about that as well.
Paul, excuse me, one question. What,
Commissioner Eggers.
yeah, give me 3 examples of what you're talking about. Just like what you would do to change an event to make it what you're asking.
Really, the two primary examples would bring, if you brought in large water stations, then all your plastic bottles, plastic cups, things of that nature would go away. Understanding that there may be, beverages that are being served that could be in cans that could be recycled or whatnot, but really doing away with, your plastics or whatnot. When you're talking about your food vendors, you can work with them, and these vendors are out there. They would be serving food and items or materials that are composted or compostable. And then you would have stations, at your food vendors or around the event that you would have compostable materials, you would have your recycled materials, and then you would have just your trash materials that would just be your normal trash. And then those materials are typically taken away. We took them away and weighed them to ensure that we were meeting the outcomes that we were looking for. But we know that, again, that was successful. We can do that. So that's some ideas of what you can do at these events.
At the end of the day, the events are a lot of times 501c3s that are trying to raise money. So if it becomes more costly or, exceedingly costly to do it, it cuts into that. That's my.
Right. And if we go down this road and it looks like it's something that it has enough interest, then we would do a business impact analysis because we realize that could be an impact on businesses. And then the last item there is the Technical Management Committee, which is really this board's advisory committee for all matters of solid waste. There's just a couple areas in the section of the ordinance that need tightened up. There's no provisions right now on how alternates for these representatives are nominated and appointed. And when folks can't come to the meeting, there's no alternate to support them. And in some cases, these representatives are not only representing a city or town, they may be representing groups of cities. So it's important to have the folks at these meetings. They're every 2 months, and it would just be beneficial if we were able to have a process to put that in place. The original population formula that was, put in place when the ordinance was originally established, we probably need to revisit that to see if there's any changes in the makeup of the committee and or number of members on the committee. We would look at that. And then lastly, we would look at the responsibilities of that committee when they're looking at making recommendations to you or the county administrator on an annual basis regarding tipping fees. So there are the 3 areas in that section that we would be looking at. So again, nothing new, just something that we would be looking to try to refine and bring back to you for consideration at a later date. So next steps, we would take the direction that you've given us today. Thank you for that. We would, now that we know that we're looking at mandatory recycling or pulling the string on that, we would take that information as we go out. We can put a better estimate around what we could expect there, go back out onto the market and look at combining that tonnage with the scope of work that exists and soliciting a countywide contract for recycled materials. If that does not look like that is cost effective, then we would proceed down the road that the board has provided, guidance and look at designing, constructing a new MRF in Pinellas County. And we would do that in the fall of 2023. We would take the narrative and the content and develop that and put that around the outline that we discussed, go back out with stakeholder engagement and conduct any or make any necessary revisions. Certainly would bring that back in ordinance form for legal review, formatting and all that to develop a final draft, and then be prepared to bring this back to you in the form of public hearing for board consideration in 2024. So that's the kind of time frame that we're working towards.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So again, I think we're giving direction to continue the research. We're not giving you direction to start the project, to start recycling.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. I wasn't quite sure how I was hearing what you said. So.
That would help us provide the estimates that are necessary for us to make the MRF decision.
Yep.
But we certainly couldn't do any kind of mandatory recycling until the ordinance is put in place.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all I have, unless you have any additional questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments before we let Paul go? Anyone? No? 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 All right, thank you so much.
Very much.
Okay. This is an interesting subject matter.
That's, yeah, there's a lot there, and so we'll see what they are able to come up with. But I think the recycling is an important piece. Next up is Kelly and Tom, and they're going to give you an update on transportation, but they're also going to touch on, you had asked at our last meeting about what we're going to be able to get out of the ATMS system and improvements that is proposed in the budget. So I'm going to let them speak to that and also give you an update on all of our transportation projects.
This is the one that I think is so interesting.
Oh, you weren't excited about solid waste?
No, I am. I'm excited about everything, but this one really piques my interest.
All right, go ahead, Kelly.
Good morning, Kelly Hammer-Levy, Public Works Director. So this morning, Tom Washburn, our Transportation Division Director, and I are here to present an overview of the transportation initiatives that Public Works has been implementing over the last 2 years, priorities going into 2024, the proposed budget, and the 5-year forecast for the Transportation Trust Fund. Additionally, we will present the program level of service and our expected improvements as a result of the investments you have been making in our infrastructure. And with that, Tom is going to kick us off.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. Just wanted to start us off with just a reminder that the county owns and maintains over $5 billion worth of transportation infrastructure. Our assets, that includes everything from our roads to our sidewalks to the railings, the signs, the pavement markings, and the signalization. So it's quite a big program that we're responsible to maintain. Want to drop back for the new commissioners a little bit and go back to fiscal year 22 and just talk about our sidewalk management program. That was funding that was allocated specifically to address one of our focus areas, which was the sidewalk backlog program. That was a 2-year program set to expire September of this year. I'm happy to report that we've completed the backlog. We've eliminated the backlog. We also have the staffing in place to make sure that the backlog doesn't reoccur. So that's good news for today. We also had an ARPA project that did an assessment of our sidewalk ADA in condition. It gave us a report of an assessment of the entire system. So the backlogs were based on complaints that we received from citizens, damaged sidewalk. This was an overall assessment that gives us a more comprehensive picture of what our system is, and we're currently working through the recommendations that came out of that. The ultimate goal is that we've got a sidewalk system that's safe, it's ADA compliant, and we've seen the fruits of the labor. There has been a reduction in the risk that our citizens are experiencing when they're walking on the sidewalk. So again, all that was good news. Last year, there was additional funding provided for our paving program, and that was specifically to look at our local roads. And so we've been working through that. That's also been a 2-year program. We also received funding for focus areas for maintenance of our trails, our bridges, our curbs, and our under drains. And so we've got the funding set up for that. I'm happy to report that we've got all the funds encumbered for this year, and we've got contractors working on addressing, and we've got staff working on addressing each of those focus areas. And likewise, with the sidewalk program, we do have dashboards set up for each of those programs, and we're happy to report on the progress at any time. Moving into fiscal year 24, what we're proposing for additional focus areas is our traffic management system, our advanced traffic management system, and improvements that we're proposing for that, and also for our non-FDOT qualifying bridges, basically our bridge culverts. And that's what I'm going to spend some time talking to you about and give you what we're proposing. So with our ATMS improvements, really we're looking at 2 focus areas. One is signal retiming, and then the other is video analytic devices. Coordinated signal timings are the best bang for the buck that we can get with our transportation system in terms of moving traffic. We do have a timing program that's funded at $125,000 per year. That gets us about 16, 17 signals a year. The cost is about $8,000 per intersection for signal retiming under the traditional way that we do it. We maintain 450 traffic signals. So best practices are 20 to 25%. We look at those each year for retiming. With that funding that we've got and the 16 or 17 that we look at, that's about 5% per year. So that's a service level of F as far as retiming. We do have 2 timing techs that keep up with all of our detection. And so we've been able to keep up with the timings pretty well with what we've got with our advanced system. You know, the detection is key, and so our focus is on making sure that our detection continues to work. So the timings that we do put in place tend to last a little bit longer, fortunately. What we're proposing is with the program and the funding, is that over the next 3 years, we'd be able to bring that to a service level C. We'd be able to retime over 300 of the signals, which is 70% of our inventory. I've got the outcomes and the benefits of signal retiming there. Obviously, it's improved coordination, but it's reducing congestion. It's allowing people to get from point A to point B more efficient. It improves the travel times, it reduces fuel consumptions, and it just makes the trips a little more predictable when you get out there, and that's really the goal. Again, it's a very high benefit to cost, 40 to 1.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, so are we talking about just working each intersection with the current technology that is in place? Are we talking about upgrading technology? What are we doing with these?
Both. It depends on the intersection and the corridors that we're looking at. Some of it's going to be traditional retiming, which is to go out there and collect the data, prepare the models, implement the timings, and fine-tune them and monitor them. And then this slide here goes into actually where our ATMS system comes into play, and that's with our adaptive intersections. We do have 160 of our intersections that are under adaptive control, which means that, you know, they're based on real-time traffic conditions. If there's time in the system that allows for additional movements to be made, side streets primarily in the left turns, it can do that without sacrificing the coordination of the main line, whichever direction that we've got progressed. The new technology is a timing platform that sits on top of those adaptive intersections, and so it's software that basically, right now with our adaptive intersections, we're collecting traffic counts and speed data in real time, 24/7. The timing software that'll sit on top of that basically takes that information and continuously updates the timing plans. So whereas with traditional timing, you collect this data at a point in time, you do your modeling, and you put it out there, and you try to keep it running and fine-tuning and making minor adjustments where you can. The software, obviously, it's much faster. It can make those decisions a lot quicker, and it can make those adjustments. In the adaptive corridors, it's the biggest benefit is where we have real variable traffic, you know, so that east-west movements on State Road 60, on State Road 580, where we've got variable traffic by, you know, day of the week or time of the year. You know, think of spring training, think of spring break, the golf tournament up in Innisbrook. The adaptive control that we've been using, we see real benefits in locations like that. So what we're talking about here is a timing platform that'll sit on top of that, make use of what we're already doing. It's a natural expansion of our system. And we are getting ready to test that on a section of Ulmerton Road. So it's we've been putting the system in place, and then we're just getting ready to turn that on and start.
Well, I'm not quite sure how that all translates to situations during rush hour on roads like East Lake Road that don't perform like they're supposed to perform. And we've talked a lot about the different challenges that are there. It has nothing to do with technology, it has nothing to do with retiming, but rather one person wanting to cross 6 lanes of road and hit that little button to cross over. It stops all the traffic because they have to allow so much time to get across the road.
Yes.
And so that creates a different problem where you've got traffic backed up literally for maybe a mile with no traffic crossing. And that has nothing to do with new technology, has nothing to do with any of this stuff. And I'm not sure how we address these high transit activity.
Well, on East Lake Road
separately.
specifically, we don't currently have the adaptive system out there. We're testing it now in coordination with emergency response. But that will be one of the primary corridors where we're looking to upgrade to the adaptive control with this real-time timing analysis. And to your point, it'll make those adjustments, you know, when schools are letting out or if there's a crash or anything like that, you know, it can make adjustments to the timing to keep that traffic flow moving.
Well, I have a lot of interest in it. I'm just saying, and for me, we have to do whatever we can to get that, what you call adaptive in there sooner, because I really am not excited about writing the checks for expanding to 6 lanes or 8 lanes or whatever we have to do. It just seems like the more lanes, there's a bottleneck at some point. There's a problem at some point. It's about more about moving traffic. So, I mean, I think these kinds of things have to be fully implemented before we make decisions on paying for roads. Big ticket items like expanding East Lake Road, so.
All right, Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree with Commissioner Eggers on the last point that he made. But my question on the video analytic devices, you mentioned State Road 60. So will this change the plans that y'all are working on as it regards to Gulf to Bay and Belcher and the Michigan U-turn thing?
That's actually a separate project, but, you know, we do have we are testing this out on State Road 60. We are testing the video analytics at 3 intersections. So if we're able to make traffic flow a little more smooth, you know, certainly, and we're looking at State Road 60 and Belcher now, you know, so.
Okay. And to Commissioner Eggers' point, I would just like to say that I hope this is implemented on State Road 60 before we do the Michigan U-turn to see if this works.
It will be. Everything that we're doing on State Road 60 right now is just about complete. We're just about ready to turn that on, including the 3 locations that we've talked about in the past for the video analytics. Absolutely. The last thing I wanted to say, I'm sorry.
Excuse me for 1 minute. For clarification, did I correctly hear you when you said after we get done doing this project, we'll bring everything up to a level C?
That's our goal as far as the service level for signal retiming. You know, the best practice is to make sure we're looking at our intersections, you know, 20 to 25% every single year. So this will bring.
What is the best practice standard around the country, do you know, in terms of what level everybody else is at?
Where they're at, it varies from you know, location to location, but the standard that everybody is moving towards is at 20 to 25% per year.
That doesn't seem to be anything to be too proud of if it's a level C.
Well, what that means is you're reviewing your corridor timings at least every 4 years, every 5 years. And like I said, you know, you've got the ability, once you get a good coordinated timing system in there, if your traffic volumes don't fluctuate too much, if you don't have a lot of growth, or if you don't have these highly variable traffic patterns, the fine tuning, you can keep that working for the next several years until you get back out there to collect new counts. Now, with the adaptive control, those counts are collected real time 24/7. So, you know, there is no more of that, you know. We've got a timing plan out there based on counts that we took 3-4 years ago. The timing plans will be based on what's occurring out there at the time. That's the goal.
Thank you. Anyone else over here? Barry?
Well, I wanted to help Tom out a little bit here because he talks in a real monotone, you know, voice. But,
Yeah, it's hard to understand.
But think about the level of service that we're increasing here. So right now, you know, and we've said this before, if you get 2 or 3 green lights in a row, you know, stop and buy a lottery ticket, right?
It's a miracle.
Right? And so, you know, this is really enhancing that to where these systems talk. Now, you know, he's the technical expert that can tell us why this works, and it really has to do with these side roads and how they integrate and the volume of traffic. And like you said, you're sitting there at a red light and there's nobody coming out from a side road. Why does that make sense? It's integrating this technology, but it will significantly improve our traffic flow. It's that reason that we recommended that this is part of the budget this year. That I mean, yes, it's not an A, but it's bringing us up to a C, and we're currently at an F. Okay, that's an improvement, and that's a significant improvement. And so, you know, it really getting these corridors to where, you know, you can move is I think, going to be a significant help with that. When they were talking about East Lake Road, to your point, Commissioner, I mean, I know exactly what you're saying. There's a lot of different, you know, views on that out there, but it was always envisioned as part of those different alternatives that it's some kind of a phased approach. In other words, put in the adaptive technology and maybe do some intersection improvements before you go widening and things like that. So that's what they still have to figure out on these corridors, to where we're not just widening, but we're using technology to maximize the amount you can get out of your existing infrastructure, and only then do you look at intersection modifications, and then as a last resort, expansion, you know, which is obviously the most expensive. So I think it's the combination of all of these that'll make improvements to our transportation system.
Yep, Commissioner Flowers.
So when we're running, thank you, I'm sorry. So when we're looking at the optimization of signaling, are you also taking into account all of the construction that's going on? When you are looking at like Frontage Road, right before Olmerton, and all of those side service roads as they go up, you have a number of condos and different businesses that those service roads service, but sometimes people take those service roads to avoid the traffic that's actually on US 19. So when you're talking about signaling, all of that, I think, has something to do with the flow of traffic.
Sure.
And then when you add construction, it slows the amount of traffic that can get through any given light, because they're narrowing the lanes on those service roads from 2 to 1 for you to merge over and get in. So are you looking at time minus that type of constraint, or just straight flow through traffic for the signaling?
I would say that the adaptive control is intended to take that into account, just like seasonal variations. You know, today is the first day of school, for instance, so, you know, those changes in travel patterns under an adaptive system is intended to take that into account. Again, the system is feeding the counts and the real-time traffic data and making those adjustments as best as it can, with the goal to keep traffic moving.
Because I know also in some of those areas, there's no more road widening. I don't think you could do without being in the front yard or in the parking lot of some of those businesses, because they've slowly, you know, kind of chipped away at some of their property, some of that property in front. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome. Do you have more, Tom?
Just a couple more. The last thing I wanted to say about the timing is with the adaptive system is actually more cost effective. We go from $8,000 per intersection down to $3,000 to implement this. So, you know, we get real-time information at a much reduced cost.
Speak into your mic a little bit. It's hard.
I'm sorry. Under the traditional, without the adaptive, it's $8,000 per intersection for retiming. Under the adaptive, it's $3,000 per intersection to implement. And then the last thing on our traffic management system that we're proposing is adding video analytic devices at all of our signals. We currently are testing it, or not testing it, we're using it at the intersection of State Road 580 and Sable Springs. What this does is it captures, again, counts and speed data, but it also reports back to us things like near misses, speeding, wrong way driving. And the clips that I've got on the slide here are actually from the intersection of State Road 580 and Sable Springs. So you can see some of the conflicts. Ideally, they don't result in crashes, you know, so that we're not dealing with crashes. But, you know, this is the type of information that this system provides. And when there are problems and recurring problems, it allows us to address them before a crash problem occurs. Commissioner Eggers, we demonstrated this to you when you visited the Traffic Control Center, and if anybody else is interested in seeing how this works, you're welcome to come out and see it, and we'll show you. But it's able to pick up vehicles, vehicle speeds, direction. It predicts what vehicles are doing, what pedestrians are doing, And again, when there's an issue like the near misses, we get a report in our system, so it's something that we can address immediately. So a lot of safety benefits, but again, the ultimate goal of all of this is to keep the lanes open so that we can keep the traffic flowing. And if you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer it. We do have it at the one intersection. We're also putting it at 3 intersections along State Road 60 as part of our TAPS LA project. And those 3 intersections are where we have the most pedestrian crossings. And then just real quick on our other focus area, the non-qualifying bridge structures, we have, I'm sorry?
Yes, hold on, Tom. Commissioner Latvala?
On the, back in the previous slide, yeah, that slide right there, on the wrong way driving and the near misses and whatnot, does that mean that there's somebody that's watching this in real time, or is there like something that signals the traffic center of a wrong way driver?
Yeah, when something like that happens, we get an alert through our system, and we have operators that are, we operate the control center 24/7, so we always have operators that are watching this type of stuff. But, we get an alert in the system, and that prompts us to go take a look and see what's happening.
So they could notify law enforcement in real time that there's a wrong way driver?
Yes. Yeah, and we are tied in with the sheriff's office and with the 911 system. So anytime we get a 911 alert, we're also looking at our cameras and reporting back to them the severity of what the incident might be.
And if you haven't been in the county's traffic control center, it's really interesting to go there and just watch how it operates. FYI, it's right off of 19. Commissioner Peters?
And this is my fault, I don't recall, on your, your new technology, I know Gulf to Bay, are you doing any north-south ones, like Seminole Boulevard or 113th or, no, 66th Street is mostly St. Petersburg, and that's, to me, the worst street, north and south, to travel on. But I don't recall when we voted on that in the plan if north-south was included. I know there's a lot of east-west, but what about north-south?
It is. There it is.
There is,
We can
okay.
get you a cleaner copy of this map, but we've got all the major north-south and east-west routes that
Okay.
are proposed.
And commissioners, the other thing, this, obviously it's going to take time to implement this, but they're conducting, and the report's not back yet, but a study of the technology used for all the lights, and that includes St. Petersburg. So as we can work with St. Petersburg in upgrading their lights, well, when you drive, you don't really care if you go from St. Petersburg to a state system to a county system, and they can talk by using that. So the consultant will really talk about how to integrate all the light systems that are out there.
Okay, and Largo has increased an enormous amount of density along 113th, and then what is it, Largo, Clearwater, Largo Road, and then Fort Harrison, just coming up here, every time I have to come up here, and then Fort Harrison goes into 2 lanes. And they just put a bunch of apartments up, and they are putting up a whole bunch more apartments. The amount of traffic that has increased on that road is immense, and in the future, it's going to be significantly more. Just getting through Fort Harrison is incredibly difficult, and I don't know that we have any kind of technology to make those lights, because it doesn't appear to be that there are. But when it goes down to 2 lanes and there's enormous amounts of traffic, I don't know because I know I see on the map, Seminole Boulevard has some stuff, if I'm reading the colors right, but it doesn't necessarily make it all the way through Largo. And then that road I'm talking about, I don't think has any kind of, and that's mostly, well, at least unincorporated Seminole. There's a lot of unincorporated Seminole in there.
Even within the municipalities, most of the major corridors are our lights or the state lights. And so we have control over all of those. Even the ones in Clearwater, we're in discussions with the city of Clearwater, regardless of who owns it, making sure they talk and they're upgraded and things like this. But we're in discussions with them. So hopefully we get to the point where it's just St. Petersburg and us, for all the lights, and that way we can integrate them and make sure people can get from point A to point B.
Well, I think with the amount of affordable housing that's going up in that corridor between Seminole Boulevard and then 113th, and that name changes so much, it's unfortunate that the names have to change so much, but I hope we put that in future planning because the density is increasing significantly already, but the future is going to be, so I hope that gets into the planning consideration eventually because I would say today it took me 10 minutes longer than it normally does because school started, but it's heavy.
And it's happening quickly. Did you have something, Commissioner Eggers?
Thank you. The funding of this, is this coming back to that millage rate item that we just talked about, or is this the millage rate that was set aside for, where is it coming from?
For the ATMS, I believe.
This that we just talked about, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's $20 million, correct, Kelly, for $18 million for and that's for all the adaptive technology, that's for the implementation of this, the ongoing maintenance, you're talking about the level of service, where that comes out of your transportation? Okay, it's out of the Transportation Trust Fund.
All right. Yeah, so all of this, obviously, we're going to be talking to our legislators again coming up in the fall pretty quickly about this, our transportation fund and how
Correct.
upside down it is.
And there's a slide back and a few slides that talk about that.
All right, well, I'll wait and then we'll address it then. But, I mean, it's a structural deficiency that we got to take care of.
Correct.
I mean,
It's a statewide and a national issue that gas taxes aren't keeping up, the cost. Ours are not
there's
indexed.
a lot of reasons for it.
There's
some
a lot of
which-
reasons for it.
Some of
You're
which
exactly
should
right.
be real quick fixes that, you
Yes.
know. Well, I'm just saying, I'm just talking about every car should pay their fair share. Okay?
Electric cars should
Yeah,
have a
and the
cost to
electric
that.
cars
I get
are not
that.
paying anything for this.
And more efficient vehicles have not kept pace. The state's able to index
no
their fund.
offense.
I heard
They,
you.
the state's able to index their fund. Our fund is not
Yeah.
indexed. So
I mean, I just
there's a
think-
combination of
Yeah.
a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
The resulting is you'll see a slide in a few minutes in 2029. Our Transportation Trust Fund runs red. So.
Commissioner Peters.
And just to add on this, I was going to bring this up later, but, and I already mentioned it to Barry, but the fact that we have charging stations and
Yes.
parking spots, not only are we not metering those spaces, but we're paying the electric bill for people to charge. And we've got RVs that come in and plug in overnight, and we're not making them use a credit card to pay for that electricity. I mean, so we have people come and drop their car off to charge it, and then they leave and go downtown. They're not even doing county business. And so I think our charging stations need to be pay for use, that we should not be paying that electric bill for people to be charging their
Wait a
car
second.
for free. When they're coming and charging overnight, they got RVs charging overnight, and, we don't even meter them. I mean, I don't understand why they don't have to pay a meter where a regular car is paying a meter. On all levels, I think that has to be looked at. So I know that's not this top, I kind of did
I'll
squirrel.
bring back a separate report on that.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah, I know I kind of did squirrel
I
on
don't-
this, but you went there
we
with
don't
the
want to
gas
go down
tax
that
and that, I just think that's got to stop immediately, that we're not giving away electricity that we're paying for, and they're not paying anything.
Hold
So-
on a second, because I have an electric car.
Yes.
And everywhere I plug in to charge, it automatically puts a charge on my credit card. So somehow they're tied to something
Not all of them are.
that clicks immediately when the car starts charging. And it's not a lot of money, but it's per kilowatt,
Yeah.
12 cents per kilowatt.
I don't believe, all meters are not doing, all chargings are not doing that. Because at the county one, we're not charging, correct?
We'll bring back a report on that. I don't know which ones we are or we're not. We started with a pilot on this. It did grow. We got a grant
With a what?
out of Duke. But let me bring back a separate report on that. Otherwise, we could probably spend the rest of our time on that, if I can. I'm looking into it, and I will, and I'll bring back a report. Okay?
Okay. I've got one more slide before Kelly comes up and finishes us up. So this is our last focus area. This is on our box culvert system. These are non-qualifying FDOT bridges. We currently don't have a program in place to inspect these, and so what we're proposing is to bring them into the same standard that we have for all of our other bridge structures, which is an assessment, doing an assessment, identifying the deficiencies, and then going out and having a program to repair those. So if you have any questions about this or anything about our non-qualifying bridges, I'm happy to.
Just that if we talk about replacing bridges, we've got to have a different system. I'm like, pulling out what little hair I have left to deal with contractors and bridges and what they put neighborhoods through, what they put all of us through, and we don't seem to. They're not that accountable for performance. We don't reward them for more bridges, the good ones that do it versus the bad ones that do it. Anyway, it's just a little pet peeve, but it's a problem, major problem. Thank you.
Understood.
All right, so, as mentioned, our first initiative was to focus on sidewalks and making repairs and improvements to the existing network of over 1,000 miles of sidewalk. And, just for a little statistic, if you were to lay out a line of sidewalk from Pinellas County, a little over 1,000 miles north, you would land in New York. So we have a lot of sidewalk. The board invested $4 million in those contractual services to address those deficiencies and future funding to support the ongoing program, as Tom mentioned. And this way we can keep up with the demand. And when we look at where we sit, where we started and where we currently are, only 35% of our level of service strategies or categories are at a C or better. But when we look forward at these investments that we are currently making, that view improves greatly, and we are improving to 75% of our categories at a C or better. So this is a tremendous improvement, and they're possible because of the dedicated funding. The initial designated millage was put in place to stabilize, and that's the conversation we were just having about the gas taxes not being a sustainable source of funding for this program. That was put in place in 22. And that continues to subsidize and stabilize the fund. However, that is a planned drawdown that will go to zero in 29. The level of service millages are specifically set aside to make these improvements that we've just been talking about with regard to our local roads, resurfacing our neighborhoods, sidewalk repairs, improvements to the trail crossings and trail maintenance, and maintenance of our bridge network. And then as Tom just presented, the request for 24 through 26 is a one-time general fund investment in our ATMS program of $18 million spread out over those 3 fiscal years. The proposed transportation program budget, that $110.8 million there, does include the $18 million spread out over 3 years. So that brings the actual annual budget for that year to be around $98 million. It's primarily, as you can see, the biggest sections are in our streets and bridges program, which does include sidewalk and under drain and curb and trail and all of those things as well. And then transportation management, which is where the ATMS system and that support sits. The transfer to capital is about $1.7 million that is transferred from the 9th cent to the capital budget for ATMS improvements, capital improvements. And there's approximately $15 million there for the local road resurfacing program. And then that $23.6 million in reserves, when you look at it from an annual perspective, it's really about less than 3.5 months worth of operating expenses. We are continuing to see inflationary impacts on supplies and projects. It doesn't just affect our capital program, it's also affecting our day-to-day maintenance. You will be seeing some contracts coming forward. We have our annual road resurfacing contract that's going to be 15% higher than the one we brought 6 months ago. Our concrete contract, we're recommending not moving forward with that one because the increases were just too high. and we're going to put it back out for a shorter duration to see if we can bring down those numbers. But this is affecting our capital program as you see projects come forward, and you see those contracts higher. But it's also impacting our general maintenance of sidewalks, pothole repair, and those types of things. And those costs tend to increase as our inventory ages and we add more infrastructure. So this is the forecast that Barry mentioned, and as you can see, each year our expenditures are just a little higher than what our revenue is bringing in. And so because of that differentiation, what we end up with is that $20 million in reserves will be depleted in 29, and that was planned. That stabilization millage was to give us time to determine what our path forward was. This picture does assume that the 9th cent is reauthorized in fiscal year 26, the local ops and fuel tax is reauthorized in 27, and that those dedicated millages continue through the forecast period. If we stopped the level of service work and eliminated the dedicated millage for stabilization, this whole chart is in red. We are in red today without that stabilization. That's how important it is. So in summary, as I mentioned, without that stabilization millage, the fund is unbalanced. We are seeing great improvements in our transportation infrastructure consistent with what our community is telling us they want. Sidewalks are important. 68% in the recent survey said that sidewalks and other pedestrian improvements are either essential or very important. Resurfacing, 77% said this is essential or very important. The proposal to maximize the return on investment of our ATMS system, just as you mentioned, and Commissioner Eggers, that we do the best with what we have first before we spend more. And that also aligns with what our community is saying is that, mitigating our traffic issues, such as signal retiming and making them more efficient, 82% said that was essential or very important to them. And then in some areas, we're rating lower than other communities. Ease of travel and traffic flow on major roads are 2 categories, and this is what this improvement is focused on. And then there's near-term discussions and decisions on the reauthorizations of the gas taxes, and as well as looking forward as to how we fund these programs in the future and long term.
That's it. I think that one thing to take away from this, Commissioners, is, remember a couple of years ago you said something's got to be done with the sidewalks, and we gave them an increment to address that. At that time, I think it was over 600 days to respond to a trip and fall. Is that what it was?
We had close to 600 requests that were well over a year old, so closer to 2 years old.
It took us so long to respond to that trip and fall, to that service request, and they've eliminated that. They've completely eliminated that backlog, and now they can maintain it. And it's the same thing with our roads. We've got such a backlog, especially in local roads. I mean, if you're prioritizing the penny funding, you're doing Belcher before you do a side street, and there's not enough money to do the side streets with just the penny funds. So they would, in essence, set and wait until funding's available. And so this extra amount that we've received is making a big difference. But we've also fought inflation, as you saw from the charts, on how much that's increased. So there is another piece within the recommendation. When we did this a year ago, it was 36 million over 9 years, got us caught up on all the backlog on our roads. We put 18 million into it. We're asking for an additional 2.6 million this year. That's what that's going for, and I just wanted to relate that back. There's so many of the local roads that, we've had certain issues with in terms of being able to get them done, and we've had some complaints about that, but those weren't even on the list. They wouldn't have been done this decade without the additional dedicated millage. So what we're trying to articulate is the importance of the funding for this infrastructure piece, because it's so much more cost effective to repay or resurface a road than allow water infiltration to compromise the base and have to rebuild it. And so we're trying to make good long-term investments and cost-effective investments with the money that we have. But we want to provide just a brief update. Kelly's obviously, and Tom's still there, to be able to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions? Anyone? No? Commissioner Eggers?
Okay. Well, I hope that as we have our discussions with our legislators in the fall before they go back up to Tallahassee, that we can put together a very simplistic way of looking at how not addressing some of these issues is how that translates to our residents. Somebody might say to me, well, you have another nickel on your gas tax. And I would say back to them, well, if you can fix the other problem, then it becomes a little bit more fair to talk about additional gas tax. But if you can't fix the other problem, you continue to put excessive pressures and costs on the fuel consumers, which represent, I would imagine some high 90% of our residents, and including the folks that are trying to get to work and barely make ends meet. So I just think that story needs to be encapsulated with numbers so that at least they understand when they go up there how it translates to their residents. Again, I can't stress that enough because we have upped our millage rate. Well, level of service is over 0.2 mils, $23 million a year. I'm trying to find some money in this budget this year so that we don't have the size of tax increase that we have, and we're having to put this additional millage on there, which I'm a big infrastructure supporter, but because the other system's not fixed. And that's the shame of it. And I don't think we're doing a good enough job illustrating to them what that means and how that translates to us. So I hope we can do that, put that together.
And Commissioner, to your point, and you're really going about the structural deficiency of the way we fund our infrastructure. And that, the state's now the state does index, their gas tax, but like you said, even at the federal level, we've talked about it for years, about looking at doing that with more efficient cars. Is there a better structure to fund infrastructure? It's not a bad thing to at least put on the radar for fact. I mean, it's pretty, for Florida Association of Counties, because it's a statewide issue. We're all dealing with the same thing and these inflationary pressures. So starting that conversation is probably a good thing, because it takes years to get something actually completed.
Well, I just want them armed with the information so that they can task their people. Speaking of indexing, obviously we don't do it at the federal level, we don't do it at the local level. They've figured out how to do it at the state level, right?
Yes, they have.
So it'd be nice if that little piece of the component, at least it's illustrated so that they see the impact. And that's what I don't know that cause and effect is done enough, and that's on us to make sure that.
I'm going to get that wrong, but if we'd been indexing Transportation Trust Fund over the years, it would have stretched that out. And when we did that a couple of years ago, I think it added 5-6 years to that. So you still had the issue, but it certainly
That's just one of the many issues in that that we talked about. Everybody paying their fair share of the improvements. So
Okay.
that's all I'm going to whine about now. Just give me
Thank
a few
you.
minutes.
Thank you so much, Kelly. We're very grateful for all your hard work, just so you know. Okay, and next we have,
So we added to the budget, we added budget discussion for each of the work sessions. So no formal presentation or anything, but we've met each individually with commissioners, and we're going to continue to do that again next week. If you have questions or want to discuss any items, we certainly can do that at this time.
anybody? Commissioner Eggers?
Hit the button. Okay. So I've got a sheet here of things, of questions, some of which you've answered, some of which I haven't gotten the information back on. So it's difficult. So I do things on the fly. I ask questions without knowing what the answer is. Surprise, surprise. as opposed to just asking questions that you know the answer, because sometimes you get surprised. But that's okay, because I'm trying to make sure I understand, and I understand perspective. We're having a value increase by the property appraiser of 11%. That's the estimate, I guess, more or less. At each millage rate, I was doing some numbers looking at that last presentation. Looks like each tenth of a mill is about 10 million. Is that?
It's a little higher than that.
And Commissioners, I'll start by, we've collected all of the questions that commissioners have asked, and Chris and his team have been researching those, and we're going to provide a cumulative response to you real soon. We were just discussing that yesterday, so sorry for the delay on that, but there were a lot of different pieces.
Okay. Well, at some point we have to be able to talk about it. So I don't want to be talking about it in September when we're bringing the final budgets in for a landing, and I'm not seeing a lot of time left. Do we have another budget workshop?
We do. So on the 31st, we have
Okay.
another workshop, and this will be an agenda item
If
for
it's
then
more
also.
appropriate that I give this to you to make sure that I'm getting the questions answered, I am looking for alternative routes to, not having any kind of millage rollback. I get back to who's carrying the burden on this tax increase. And it ultimately doesn't affect our Save Our Homes people too much, right?
Right.
And so the onus becomes on commercial property owners, new home buyers, and renters. Renters who are part of that affordable housing mix. And so school boards are lowering their millage rates, cities are lowering their millage, fire districts are lowering their millage rates, and I know we have challenges. So for me, it's about, and I said it at the last meeting, trying to get at least a half a rollback. Now, I'm not saying a whole rollback. I know Commissioner Scott talked about a nice Christmas gift, wrapped up, and that's not what he said, but it essentially was a full rollback is what he talked about. And I'm just trying to come up with as creative a ways as I can, and they're not that creative because there's not too many solutions. They kind of roll around some of the things that we've been talking about. So understanding what that drop is, what our reserves are going to be starting the new year, because we've had a lot of unfilled positions in our county, and I for this past year. So I want to know what that reserve impact is going to be as we enter the new budget year. And so we talk about salaries, and we talk about people, and we talk about our employees that are working so hard. And what do we do? What do we do to protect them? We've tried to increase salaries to 4.5%, two $600 raises. I'm not even sure what what a 0.5% of a salary increase is, money-wise. How does that equate to a tenth of a mil? I don't know. I'd like to know some of that stuff so that at least I'm making those trade-off choices. What do if we take the empty positions that we have right now, and I don't know how many there are, and we freeze it for 3 months or 6 months, what does that equal to? What does that equal to for our budget years? We're trying to make ends meet going forward. I just want to make sure that we've explored these opportunities, because if you don't freeze it, then you keep those dollars in the budget, and they're part of the budget. Whether you use them or not, they're part of the budget, and they at the end of the year, they kind of filter through as perhaps increase in reserves, but if we don't fill it. So if we freeze it, does that free up 25% of those costs for the next year? If we did it for 3 months, if we did it for 6 months, does it take out 50%? So I'd like to just have an understanding of that. I know we've increased our minimum wage to $18 in our budget.
Correct.
And we've taken into account compression issues from that.
Correct.
So that's part of the pressures as well on our budget. So
It is.
So I just would like to understand what those, a quarter of a percent, 0.5% raise equates to for all of our employees. I mean, this is about sharing
We
the
have
burden.
to separate that between the BCC departments and
All of them.
and the
All of
sheriff.
them. Sheriff's Department as well.
Yeah.
But I'd like to also understand what the job freezing means and what that translates to in terms of saving money for our budget coming up. And then the last piece of it for me is the reserves and how much of those reserve dollars we can spend from a purist standpoint, bad spending, when you use it for recurring costs, to bridge gaps over a year or two. So I'd just like to understand that a little bit too, because I know that we're going to have somewhere around 22%, 21, 23, somewhere in there. I think that
We're
was
going
the
down to
proposal.
20.8%.
Okay, so-
Under the proposed budget.
Down to 20.8.
Correct.
That's what it is now.
And well, we're actually higher now. With that'll put us at the 2.5 months, which is a policy decision that'll be made as part of the budget, which is reserve levels.
But we haven't made that policy decision
We
at
have not.
20.8. Okay. So I just want to make sure I understand again what that percent level, I think it's $7 or $8 million per percent. Is that for the reserves?
About that,
Okay.
at 8 million.
So bringing that all together so that we have all those incremental numbers, so we can just make informed decisions. Because it really, at the end of the day, I can't get into each person's budget. You know, these good people out here that run their departments, I mean, they're putting together responsible budgets, and I'm just trying to understand the trade-offs for our residents. At the end of the day, you know, we're talking about, have you seen the gas prices lately? I mean, we're talking $3.90.
Yeah.
It affects all of us greatly. And electricity, because of the heat that we've been having, is just killing people. I mean, literally. And I don't know that it's because rates are going up, but because the units are having to run longer. Whatever it is, they're hurting. And now they're going to get hit with insurance costs. I just tried to re-up my auto insurance, or I'm trying to re-up, no changes, and it's going up about 35%. And then when I go check it with other new people, it would have doubled instead of just the 35%. So I think we're feeling it everywhere, and I think symbolically, it's important that we're with our residents, and I think we're doing good service things, but where can we tighten up just a little bit? So that's where I'm coming from, and so I'll give this to you, and then if you don't have this information, you can research that for me for that next meeting. Thank you, Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Latvallow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm open to cuts in some areas of the budget. One of them that I'm not open to is cutting the sheriff's budget. And so that makes it a little bit difficult to find other areas of the budget that I would be open to cutting, which is one of the things that I've talked to you, Chris, about in Newberry. But a couple of things that I've noticed, and I've talked to y'all about some things that are drop in the bucket type of things that'll make very minimal impact. But going back to our budget workshop a month or so ago, would be a 3% cut from the action item in the communications budget, and Barbara may have my microphone cut off by mentioning that. And then the 3% action item cut to the parks budget. I think the communications cut would result in cuts to the number of videos that get produced. The reserve level, one of the things I thought about was going from 2.5 months to 2 months of reserves. And then the pay raise, which is kind of difficult because we are giving the sheriff's office a pay raise, and so cutting our other county employees' pay raise out. I'm not sure how fair that is, but one idea that I had was instead of doing a 4% pay raise with a $600 bonus, looking at doing a 2% pay raise with a $1,000 bonus. But if that results in us losing a large number of county employees, I'm not sure how well that will be received. But those are just some ideas that I had, as well as some of the other things that I mentioned to y'all in our one-on-one.
Barry?
Commissioner, we have those on the list. We're going to respond back and give you some of the data that you've asked for here. Some of it's new, but some of it you've asked for, and we're going to respond back. Let me start with just a couple of things, though. To get to the point in the budget, you saw the contracts throughout the year. We put on, here was the last contract, here's the new contract. It's an IT contract. We're tied to it. It's a maintenance, it's cybersecurity. We don't really have a choice. And we've seen them go up 10, 20, 30, 40%, across the board. And so it's been very difficult to even try to maintain budget in this type of environment. And I'm not asking for anybody to cry over, what we have to do, but like for the BCC departments, we did not give them a cost of living. We didn't say, here's 3% for inflationary cost. We said, live within your means and request anything new. And so we've already taken and made them eat inflationary cost in the proposed budget. We also took and said, you know what, we have vacancies and we have turnover, and so we're not going to fund you at 100% of payroll. And so we funded them at, I think, 95% of payroll, and accounting for some of that turnover that we're seeing. We did those measures just to get to the balanced budget that we have here today. As you also know, the sheriff's request is $40.2 million more. And it is hard because you go, well, let's only give a 2% or 3% increase. Over in the sheriff's office, he starts his officers out at 56, but you can go to Clearwater, Largo, St. Pete, Pinellas Park, and make more than our sheriff. So it's very hard to argue about from a fairness standpoint, but that's got to be paid for somehow, And so he's worked with us to try to curtail that, but it's a significant increase. We have proposed a reduction to 13 of our 21 levies that are proposed as part of this budget. So we are looking at trying to curtail cost and roll back where we can. And that's
13 to 21 what, Barry?
of our levies that are proposed before you. 13 of the 21 are proposed at a reduction, at a rollback, at some level, not necessarily a full rollback. And so we've accounted for, those things. When we gave you a stress test, what Commissioner Laval is talking about, 3% in a couple of areas, the cumulative amount of that, and you saw things like that, which means, cutting the grass less. I think that's not on Kelly's list, but I'll add it. It's service level reductions. In other words, we're not going to cut the grass at the park, 12 times a year. We're going to cut it 10 or whatever it is, Those are service level reductions, and we can do that. So we've tried to outline that. The cumulative amount, if we did all of the 3% reductions, is $30 million. And that's I think that's actually at a 5%. So it begins to get to the point, but it's not significant from the overall amount in terms of property tax, which is the issue. This year, we had a state mandate that the state said, no, supervisor of elections, you're going to scrub the data that comes in, and it used to be done by the state, and then she was given a list of eligible voters. Now she has to scrub that. That's 4 positions. It's mandated. She did a time study. It's not like she just come in and was adding to her staff. She did a time study on what it takes to be able to complete this work. Unfunded mandate. We don't have a choice but to do that. We have not included any positions in this budget, any additions that, and believe me, we had many, because you get them all, because we were just trying to keep, the costs down to be able to maintain, what we currently have. We touched on that. We've $2.3 million in the supervisors of election budget just to be able to run a presidential election next year. She doesn't have a choice. It's going to cost more, and so we have to account for that. $657,000 more in the tax collector. Again, for him to keep his salaries up, and here he did it. He has the statutory authority to do it with what Pasco pays, and that's what he was basing his salaries on. So when we look at our employees, and I know it's higher than normal. I sat with the city managers last Friday, and we went around the room on what people are providing, and I heard 5+ a COLA. I heard 4+ a COLA. I heard, 6, 5, 6, 7%, because of the impacts that inflation is having. That's what I heard consistently throughout the room. And so I think the proposal that we have, I understand it's more, but our employees are feeling that too. The mandates to the Florida retirement system, cumulatively of what? Yes, yeah, 13 plus 2, I mean, over $15 million. No, not a question. We must pay into the Florida retirement system because of a state-passed change in the retirement, the way the retirement's calculated. We got over $15 million of cost right there. So we'll continue to have this. We'll answer those questions, but the inflationary factors that we're facing and trying to balance this year's budget, we just talked about the improvements to transportation. We cannot do that. We can choose to do it the way we've done it, and then people will see, we can take that out. It's $2.6 million additional recommended in this year's budget levy. So we can trim things like that. But whether that's a good long-term decision is another question. So we'll meet again next week. Any other questions you have, we'll respond back as a group. We have it on for discussion on the 31st. I do think we need to make sure that we're making good long-term decisions. And so the recommendations in that, hold a position and Barbara's, you're exactly right, we can do that. And we can do less with that. It's not going to change the rate, but it's a help towards being conservative and trimming things like that. So areas like that we can certainly respond to. It's a tough budget year just to get to this point. The sheriff got a cost of living, as part of that, and then in addition to that, it's $40.2 million. For the BCC departments, which is where you kind of want to focus because they report to you, they didn't even receive that. We held them at zero flat and make them justify any contractual increase. And so that's how we built the budget just to get to the point we're at today. So just as a background information.
Commissioner Peters, did you have?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts, and, I wasn't at the last time you had this budget discussion because of a funeral, but I do have some thoughts on this. And Dave, you mentioned that cities are rolling back, and cities haven't rolled back when they made big money last year and big money. I thought I heard you say that. So I've been disappointed in the cities where they haven't rolled back when I felt like they should. So, but what I would say, and you all know, those that have been here, that for 3 years I really pounded on rolling back the millage rate. And the last 2 years, we didn't roll back to the way we were, but we went really close. And we had a lot of reserves, and we spent on those reserves, I think, very responsibly with the transportation and so forth. And so what's happened since, just this year, that gives me concern. And so where I was really beating on rolling back, I felt like the last 2 years, we rolled back twice, and there were significant rolls. And I think that we responsibly spent down the reserves to a safe level. And now what has happened now that has concerns for me is, and I know it's unknown and we won't know for probably longer than it should be, maybe a year and a half or something, with Army Corps. And Army Corps is a big deal. And I understand we have money to pay for beach renourishment beaches. But if we pay for those, we lose our ability to have FEMA come in and assist us. And so, to me, I think, first off, I'm worried about losing more staff. We've lost some really top-notch staff people here that have gone to other cities that I think sets us back. Every time you have to bring somebody new, it sets us back. We don't stay on top of each other, on top of everything that we have to do. We've lost some really key people. A planner left recently that I was so disappointed to hear he was leaving. And so I'm not on the same mindset as I was the last 2 years because of other reasons. I think the economy is not as stable as I think some people seem to think it is. I was in office in 2008, which most of us were, I think, in office in 2008. And so we've lived through that horrible, I mean, the county laid off 12,000 employees, 1,200 employees. And we don't have 12,000, but 1,200 employees. Now, when I was the mayor, we didn't lay off one employee, but we ate down our reserves to almost nothing to prevent, laying off people. So, I think we've done such a good job for the last 2 years. I'm not pressing this time on doing this. I think we've gotten to a point where we're kind of leveled off. I think our reserves are sound, but if we lose our ability to have FEMA support us if a storm comes, that means that we have to change the threshold of our reserves because we'll no longer be eligible for FEMA. And so I think that's something that we have to prepare for. What I was really impressed with this time with the budget process, I think this is the best budget process that I've been through so far since I've been on the commission. And you gave us scenarios that if we went back to the total rollback, what would happen to that department? You gave us scenarios on different things. So as we were going through the process and you had those scenarios, I was like, okay, well, in this one, I don't see where there's room. So I really liked the process this year. I think, Chris, you and your team and all your folks, I think, did a really great job. And so, where I was really beating the drum the last 2 years because, people have been hurting and we've been hurting. I mean, the economy's been, but I think this year it's exceptionally tough. And I think homeowners insurance is going to be a problem. Gas is going up. All the insurances, I think you're right. And I hate that I'm not in that place that I want to roll back, but I'm fearful right this year where I think, I'm not really fearful yet, but I think we've gotten to the point with our reserves that we're pretty stable and sound and reasonable. I don't think they're as inflated as they were the last 2 years. And 3 years ago, we really inflated them, and that's why we did what we did the last 2 years. So, but we have spent that down, correct? So where we gained all that, we spent that down. We spent that down in transportation, on roads, which is our core function of government. So I think we've done it responsibly. So I'm not, in that conversation, I watched the meeting. I'm not with you guys on a full rollback if that's where Brian still wants to go. I know I wouldn't support that. I'm kind of more of the mindset that if you can find some incremental things, I would support that. But I'm not in the mindset of really rolling back, and I understand the citizens are really, really hurting. And I truly do understand. I have 4 kids that are, they're feeling it too. We're all feeling it. But I'm not necessarily there. I support the sheriff's request. That's the big bulk ones. I think the unfunded mandates are huge. And, they keep coming. The hits keep coming from the legislature. And they're the first ones to criticize us if we don't roll back our taxes. But they've had some pretty big mandates that make it impossible for us to do this. And so just because y'all didn't hear where I was in the last meeting, I'm not in a full support of a full rollback at all. And I do have concerns at this point on maybe having to consider the threshold. I know, Chris, you said it's 15% is kind of the average, 17% is really a sound place. I'm not sure where we are right now, but I think we're close to that.
A little above that, so.
A little bit above that, and so what that tells me is we're not in this budget getting any more reserves. Are we adding to our reserves?
No, we'll be down to what, 20.8%, is that correct?
20.8% of the known reserves. We got some future spending.
And I say that to be in full transparency. So for instance, we set aside money for, at elections, we have to replace certain election equipment. And so we've set the money aside for that purpose. It may not be done until next year. That's in discussion. But so we've targeted to one-time expenditures.
Okay. So the fact that we've got a budget that doesn't add to our reserves, to me, that seems like a good, balanced, leveled out budget. And if we are at 20%, to me, that was my thought on where the threshold has to be in case FEMA cannot help us. So if, because the beaches are critical. I mean, I was out there the other day. They're critical. And so I don't think we have the time to wait to find out what Army Corps is going to do, I think we're going to have to put that sand on the beach. And if we have to put the sand on the beach, then that means we have to raise our threshold on our reserves to stay where we're at, to make sure that we have enough money if we have an emergency and a storm comes in and FEMA's not going to help us, that we can survive that. So that's kind of my rationale as to why I'm okay with the balanced budget. If you can find some savings, I'd love that. I'd love to find some savings for our citizens, but that's kind of where I stand this year.
Commissioner, are you done? Yeah. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Peters, for some of your comments. I'm along those same thought processes. When we rolled back the millage rate partially for 2 years consecutive, we did enhance our reserves, but we have been spending down those reserves, as was some of the comments and concerns in previous discussions, that we were far above the reserve level that we had set for ourselves. And so we began to whittle that down. I think what else has put us in a really good position is that funds that would have come from our general fund or various departments came from ARPA dollars that we received that we had not anticipated, but those dollars allowed us to move those projects up and get them completed so that we could look at putting those programmatic dollars into other areas so that we were continuing to move forward on that. I just want us to be careful, because one of the comments that we heard from our community is that they're not receiving information, they're not truly getting, in their opinion, timely of when we're doing certain things. So we beefed up our communications department and started putting out more of the news blasts and the newsletters and things like that that go out. So I'm not sure if the 3% reduction would have any effect on that. Because I think we need to make sure we're communicating with the public. And when we do that, we have fewer concerns because we're letting them know in advance and they're sharing their information with us, and that helps us in the long run. I know that, yes, everybody is suffering. I went to the gas pump and I stopped the tank at 70. When it hit $70, I've not had to put that much gas in my car when it said $70. But I also know that we're looking at an increase in our insurance rates. Barry, what's that?
The property insurance or health insurance is,
Was it 300%?
it's $1.9 million.
So we have an increase there. We have an increase, like everybody else, in our property. I called my auto insurance company, Mr. Eggers, because I'm an Emerald member with Progressive, and I've not had any wrecks or any tickets. And my insurance went up $150. And I have all of the safety gadgets and all that stuff. And I asked them, can you tell me why you increasing my insurance? Because I have no tickets. I have none of that. And she really couldn't explain. And so it is hard on, even for people that have just the bare minimum. Homeowners insurance went up $2,000. So it's a lot of the things that are occurring to our residents, they are from outside things, but I do know that we're trying to provide the services that they're saying they want. We're trying to make sure that we are meeting some of our safety obligations, roadways, sidewalks, traffic signaling, certainly supporting the sheriff in his ask, because the additional equipment he requested will help when they're making stops and determining if a person has some outstanding warrants in other places. And I paid close attention to our budget presentations from many departments where they were already whittling down and merging some responsibilities for staff. But then again, even if you're giving raises, if you're putting additional work on top of those raises, sometimes for persons, it's just an additional reason for them to exit and go somewhere where they can make as much money and do the amount of work that money pays for. And we're not the only ones that's facing that. Everybody is. And we're dealing also with, I think, a new thought group of people. We want to stay in a place during my era because we want to retire, get our retirement and pension. Honey, they'll pick up and leave in 6 months if somebody give them, $1,000, $10,000 more in their base salary. So we have a lot of movement that way. So I'm happy to entertain the requests that have been made. I think they are worth looking at to see just what that would mean for the overall budget. But I'm not so inclined, because again, we have things that the public is requesting of us, and those costs and the increase in those costs, supply chain issues, and all of that, we still have to face that as well. And I don't want us to get into a position where our budget is reduced so that we're not able to meet those obligations, and we're not functioning at 100% or as close to 100% as we should be as a service provider, one of the largest service providers in this county. I would hope that you, even before we have our meeting on the 31st, you all probably will do this, but if you could send that information, if you even get it prior to, just send that information out. I'd like to see those numbers, and if you did this, then what dollar value is that? And how does that look to the overall budget? Is it 1%, 2% of the budget, 15% of the presented budget, things like that? I think I may have shared that when we spoke on the phone, that I wanted to see what those percentages would be. And then, just thank you to staff, because it's never easy putting these budgets together when you're trying to accommodate 7 people's thought processes, plus make sure that the department still run effectively and efficiently as possible. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Commissioner Justice, you have anything?
Not really, Madam Chair. Chris and I had a long chat last week, and they're working on those responses. I couldn't remember if we talked about a lot of the sheriff's requests or decision packages were kind of one-time. Were we taking those out of reserves? Was that our plan?
Yes, that's part of it. So like the sheriff has a jail information system, that's $4.7 million, so that's one time. Leap year is one-time money. Rapid DNA is one-time money, that's $1 million or 900,000. But then there's, all the cost increases, jail medical, all of his inflationary costs, jail inmate food, that's $7 million.
Yeah.
That's got to be ongoing.
And that was a decision over the last few years. We're basically subsidizing with property taxes. We're subsidizing the transportation trust fund. The level of service that we've been talking about all today was because no one wanted to touch the gas tax. So we could have done a bigger rollback on property taxes the last couple of years, except we're using that cushion to pay for what would have been, you would have raised the gas tax, that nickel that you're talking about, Commissioner Egger. So, and one of the things I asked Chris to look at was, I think what Commissioner Flowers was talking about, the actual impact on a property owner. Are you going to slash, an entire department, or are you going to put off road projects for 10 years and it's going to equal 25-cent savings? That's what you want it to be, something like you're talking about. You want it to be something that they're going to actually appreciate and see. And I understand the symbolic part of things, but you want to make sure that juice is worth the squeeze, as they say. With 64% of our property owners are homesteaded, out of the 407,000 residential properties, 64% are homesteaded. It's really hard to get a beat on what the actual impact is to the quote-unquote average homeowner in Pinellas County. But anyway, just some random thoughts, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. And I, too, have a few things I would like to share, because I think this is one of the most important things that we do on the county commission, is put our budget together every year. And this is my 11th year doing this for the Pinellas County budget. And I have learned, sometimes the hard way, that our staff are incredibly precise in the presentations and the work that they bring to us every time we meet. There's a lot of personal pride that goes into their work. And yes, we have a big budget, but I do not think that cutting things that add to the quality of life that our citizens have so come to anticipate and expect is a good way to govern going forward. And number two, there is a significant thing that we all do when we talk about our budget, and that is we announce with a great big microphone what our values are in terms of how we feel about our employees, our services that we provide, and the citizens that are actually living in Pinellas County. And I, for one, will not support a rollback because I will not touch the sheriff's budget, which I think he has been incredibly astute at preparing. I am very pleased to say that at our meeting on the 31st, I look forward to bringing a new and very creative and innovative thought for you all to consider. I would give you a teaser today to tell you what I'm thinking, and the idea started to germinate in my head as a result of something I heard Commissioner Latvala say several meetings ago. And it intrigued me to think about, what? I heard you. I heard you. But it intrigued me enough to say, I'm going to take a serious look at that because I remembered some of the issues that we had gone through in the past. And so I have 2 more people to check with to finish doing my research. And then I'm going to roll it all out to you and see what you all have to say. So with that said, I'm very proud of the staff. I'm proud of you, Barry, for all the work that you have put into it. I know we have some incredibly difficult decisions coming forward that will impact all of what we do, and I look forward to being able to work on it, and I feel very blessed to be leading the charge this year. So thank you, everyone. That's all I have to say about that. And Chris, as it relates to my new idea, I would like to have a one-on-one with you to just run my idea by and see if I'm on the right track or not. And I'll look forward to that conversation as well. Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, well, I certainly appreciate all of the thoughts and the, not even really defense of the budget, because I think, I agree, I made those comments before, that I think we have, really good staff and really good process this year. I mentioned it during the budget process. I'm sorry I missed the first week, but that I thought that was probably, the approach was better than I've seen, and I certainly appreciate that. And my comments are not really directed at an inefficient system that we have here. I think on the beach renourishment, I think we need clarification on that. I don't expect us ever to spend one single penny from our general fund on beach renourishment. We have lots of it in our bed tax money, and that's where the money's coming from. And if you tell me something different, okay. And I think that's critically important, which is why when we had this discussion about the DALI, I didn't want to go too far with that, because I'm not sure what that's going to translate to, okay? I'm just saying, we have all the money we need to do all these capitals and then this beach renourishment, and we don't know yet what that beach renourishment means. So to me, that's a separate discussion, separate issue. I think our reserves are still too high. Again, we haven't had that discussion. We said it's 20.8%. That's better than 27 or 28%. I'd like to see the details of that. You're talking about setting aside maybe a little bit of capital in those reserves for anticipated in the following year maybe, and that's fine. I just would like to see what all those are. And then, again, best practices, 16, 17%. Somebody says, well, you're on the beach, you're a coastal community, so it needs to be at 20%. So that extra $30 million is going to touch what those folks down in our neighbors to the south have gone through. Come on. We're going to need a lot more help than what that's going to do. So if we're going to base it around that, then even at 20.8% is not enough. I mean, if you're really talking about that kind of insurance policy for that kind of storm. That's not what best practices is. So I just really want to make sure that we are honed in on that. I never said I supported a full rollback. I said that that's what was mentioned by one of our colleagues. All I'm saying is that I think we need to press it as hard as we can. And I certainly appreciate some of the efforts that have been made. And that's why I brought up some of the examples in our conversation today, so that I understand exactly what that translates to. I always throw around the grass cutting effort, And look, in in the area that I frequent, it was terrible. It had as much to do with the vendor that we had as the money that we were paying. So again, I think a lot of that has to do with quality of the service that's being provided. I think we have a vendor there now that people are happy to see back and are doing a good job. So again, apples and apples as we make these comparisons. And at the end of the day, we know that there are trade-offs. We know that there are choices to be made. And I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what those choices are. And hopefully some of that information that is shed at our next meeting, we can either make some of those difficult choices or not. So I appreciate the time this morning to further discuss this. It's a painful process for what, again, for what our residents are going through. And I just can't even begin to tell you the level that folks have, that break-even point where people are just making it. There's a lot more people that aren't just making it now. And it's reflected in our food banks and the number of people that are going there that never went before. And so I just, again, the onus is going to be put on certain commercial properties, certain affordable housing units and multifamily housing units. And so I just think we just need to be very careful. I know we all are being that way. We're not being reckless. But those are the reasons that I'm pushing just a little bit. I think we need to make sure that we've squeezed it. I want to think about the positions that we have first. Can we hold off for a period of time? I think that sends a signal as well. When you tell people that we're freezing hiring for 3 months or 6 months, or we just feel it's that important to kind of watch ourselves as we go forward. So I just want to have that kind of conversation. So I appreciate those efforts ahead of time.
Yes,
You know,
Commissioner Peters.
This one thought I have, and I don't know that I'd be okay with across the board. We're going to freeze hiring. I know where you're coming from, and I understand that. But it wasn't that long ago. We had a 6-month backup on dock permits. And then every one of those companies were going to have to they were looking at laying off employees because they couldn't get their permits timely, so they couldn't keep their people working, which only compounds the problem. So then they're laying off people that if we had a full staff and we were keeping up to date with permitting and doing them quickly and expediting them, those people wouldn't be getting laid off, which now compounds that problem in the community, right? And so it's a balance. And I get where you're coming from, and I think if the economy crashes, we laid off 1,200 people, and we got so far behind on our roads and sidewalks that, yeah, we were able to get flush, and we were able to take those reserves and put some money in there, and the ARPA money helped and helped and helped. But, when you do that kind of stuff, that's, if you can't maintain the roads, they get damaged so bad that now you got to replace them, where it would have been significantly cheaper to maintain them. But this is what happens when we have a bad economy and we have to lay off people and we do those kind of things. And then we get these backlogs that get really far back. And that's what has happened. And we've had the ability to fix a lot of that and kind of get caught up. Kelly showed us some Fs on there that, aren't going to be, they're still Fs. But, I get it. If you can find it, like I said, I'm going to support you finding savings. But now I would say next year, I'm certainly hoping the sheriff, because he came with a big budget last year. He's been coming with lots.
The last couple of years.
I love our sheriff, and I'm a big supporter and fan of our sheriff. But last year was a $30 million plus that he needed. This year's a $40 million plus. I'm hoping next year he's not coming to us with another $30 or $40 million increase. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hoping we have better clarity. I get beach renourishments coming out of TDT. I get all that. I know where that money comes from, but I do have some concerns. But my worry would be that if we did total freeze, even if it's for 3 months, that we would end up with a backlog that then the domino effect is layoffs for other companies. And so I witnessed that with the dock things. I can't even tell you how many phone calls I got about docks because of that. And so that's just something that, find a solution, that's great, but that kind of concept would worry me, unless it was an economic crash like we had in 2008, that's a different conversation, but.
It really has to be an elimination of a position, not a gap funding, because that gap funding is then one-time money that then you can't support the following year when you have to pay the full salary for the year. And, I've heard this from the one-on-ones with you, and we are looking at what that means and of freezing positions. And the example you just gave, Commissioner Peters, there's a person that's receiving service from those vacant positions, whether it's, somebody repairing bridges, repairing our roadways, providing human service support, or, something else. And so we have to evaluate them. But I have asked that, and departments and our ACAs are talking through that now. And so that'll be part of our response to in terms of supply ideas. And then we can continue this discussion coming up at our next meeting.
Okay, everybody happy? Yeah. Okay. Good job, Chris, thank you.
Okay, on to agenda review.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is at National Workforce Development Month, so we'll have Steve Meyer here. Items 3 through 17, let's see, so we'll go back to item 8, award of bid to High Source for requirements for this is for janitorial service at 100 different county locations. As you can see, there's areas where we're adding, there's areas where we're decreasing, so it's a bid process. Item number 9 is award of bid to Bay, this is promo for promotional and novelty items. This is for the CVB. 10, 11, these are report for file. 12 is award of bid for improvements to 22nd Avenue South, $7.4 million. Next is award of bid for Mullet Creek Channel B erosion control, $3.3 million. Item 14 is award of bid for 62nd Avenue North and 25th Street North intersection improvement, $3.4 million. Do you have a question?
No, I'm sorry. I was driving with my finger.
Okay.
I was looking at an address, and in my mind, I was like, okay, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Are we good?
Okay.
Let's go.
No question, so no mic. 15 is award an agreement with Allied Universal for supply of whatever that is, hypochlorite liquid. Have to get one of our engineers to decipher that. What is it?
Goes in our drinking water,
Bleach.
right?
They said it's bleach. Well,
Yeah.
we should put parentheses bleach so I can read it. Okay, but $7.8 million. Let's see, did they have a? They don't have the amount of the increase in here. Chemicals, we've seen increases on our chemical cost upwards of 50% over the past year. It's crazy. Item 16 is a joint project agreement between Pinellas County Utilities, City of St. Pete Beach, and City of South Pasadena for the replacement of a reclaimed water transmission line. And so this is a joint project, and your breakdown of the cost is within your packet.
$17 is just a report on our litigation.
Under the regular agenda, item 18 is interlocal agreement with the sheriff and St. Pete International Airport for sheriff services. Represents 11% increase. It's reflective. And just so you also know, the sheriff did increase the municipal contracts. I did, make sure of that. So he, reflective of his cost increases, he's passing that on an 8% cost increase to the municipal contracts. Item 19 is fiscal year 2024 lead event funding, and including a waiver of the program's $2 million funding cap. And the breakdown is within the packet. Item 20 is an MSTU for YMCA Suncoast for the Ridgecrest game field, $15 almost $16,000. 21 is affordable housing project for Founders Point. 15 unit housing, and this is for individuals with special needs, 60% or less of area median income. Item 22 is a resolution adopting downtown Palm Harbor streetscape and parking strategic action plan. This identifies future improvements for that area, and again, adopts it as future funding needs. Item 23 is recommendation, Community Foundation's recommendation for the highest ranked performance for the second round of small capital purchases of the American Rescue Plan funds. And I think staff did one-on-ones to go through the projects with you. Item 24 is a resolution authorizing me to negotiate and purchase of property at Mariners Point Management Area in an amount not to exceed $1.5 million. This better known as the West Klosterman Preserve. So this caps our contribution at $1.5 million for the total purchase of the property at $3 million, and what it provides them is fundraising goals to be able to complete the purchase of the property.
Question.
Yes, Commissioner Justice.
Before we talk about the Klosterman, can we go back to 23 for a second?
Sure.
During the conversation I had with, when we were going through this, there was, and I don't have my list here, but there was a ton of them that were all vehicle purchases, and we had talked about the concept of grouping those together to make one purchase to see if we could save a few dollars. I just want to know if any progress had been made on that front.
Kevin's on his way to the mic. I asked.
Good morning, Kevin.
Morning. Excuse me. Kevin Knutson, Assistant County Administrator. We are still looking into that. There are several options. Pinellas Community Foundation reached out to some vehicle sellers and saw that there were possibilities that we could do multiple orders and reduce the cost. The real problem there is going to be getting the inventory and having the availability. We're also going through a legal process on our purchasing side to see if we can use our contracts to purchase these vehicles and then sell them to someone else. There may be a problem with that, and we're looking at our purchasing guidelines first, and then we're going to go to the county attorney's office second to make sure that if that is possible, that we've covered all our bases in that.
Okay.
That seemed like a really good idea because we do get better pricing than individual organizations would. And we'll continue to pursue with the Pinellas Community Foundation the possibility of grouping these together to get a discount.
Very good. Thank you.
Questions?
Commissioner Latvala.
I just wanted to thank Barry and Paul for item 24. In my previous life, twice I had that funded in the various state budgets or in other means, and twice I had it vetoed, and I made the fatal mistake of telling folks that it was taken care of and having to explain to them that actually it was not taken care of. And actually one of those people was Commissioner Eggers. Going through that experience is pretty embarrassing. And so I just wanted to thank Barry and Paul for taking care of that through this item.
And kudos out to the Community Foundation that's trying to help them with fundraising, and so that'll, if they can organize their fundraising efforts. We've seen some other projects that where the community came together and addressed that need, and so this at least sets the stage up for them to have a goal to be able to be successful in that fundraising effort. All right, on to item 25 is award of bid for preferred materials. This is for our countywide pavement preservation work, $21 million. Item 26, funding agreement with the city or the county, City of St. Petersburg, and Power Design for construction of new traffic signalization at Martin Luther King North and 116th Avenue North. Item 27 is annual certificate for Lellman Solid Waste Collection, non-ad valorem ad valorem assessment.
Barry, Madam Chair, can I?
Commissioner Eggers?
I'm sorry, Barry. Back to the previous item on the pavement preservation program.
On pavement preservation program?
Yeah, is that the contract with the folks that are going to be doing the which roads?
This is a combination, so we've bid this out under a combination of funding. So this includes funding from Penny, the Transportation Trust Fund, and ARPA eligible projects.
So back roads, smaller community roads?
It's a combination of all, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
And so and that's one of the problems, I'm saying this because I know you know, but more for the public, but you just get better pricing when you get, big projects, but then you're left with them being able to deliver on the timelines of the various things. The craziest part is, we've seen labor issues stall projects over the last several years. This last year, it was material. And so they would tell us, we're going to do these streets only when they got a guarantee of material to be able to do those streets. And so we've seen some real supply side issues, both in labor and material, over the last couple of years. We're trying to do a better job of communicating with residents and keeping those pages up to where residents understand as we get into neighborhoods. And we're gonna work hard to make sure we communicate that. But it's contracts like this that really drive down that cost to where we can actually do more as a result.
So on this program, on this contract, for instance, I think some of the residents have been frustrated that it's like the tail wagging the dog, right? The contractor gets chosen to do the work, and then they put together the plan on how it's going to get done. And so sometimes that is frustrating. I mean, we're trying to do it as efficiently as possible.
If I bid it out per neighborhood, then my cost would be double.
No, I understand. I understand.
And you're right. And so what they do is they combine stuff down into areas to where they can be efficient in setting up, delivering, and doing that. And so they move from one area to another. But again, even this year, even that setup and trying to be efficient in the way they kind of attack their program was hindered by their suppliers even being able to deliver materials. So some of those projects got delayed, not because of the setup, but because of their inability to get supply.
Well, again, I think the ability and I think you're trying to embed public promotion, if you will, or relations, in some of the departments to pass along that information, to manage expectations. I think once they have the plan put together, that should be published, but there should be some bold things down there that say, material supply has been an issue that may push the project. You can say these things, and people sometimes hear what they want to hear anyway, but I think we need to do a better job of managing those expectations and then updating it. Like 3 months into the year, we're right on schedule, or we slipped a little bit because of, and it may be pushing things back a little bit. So people...
And that's the important part you just hit on, because so we've embedded communication people into the project engineers. So they're in the meetings when they're talking about the program, and so that way they can better communicate because they understand the various components and they're part of it. And so then they can continue to, as they say, okay, this next year we're going to do these 5 communities, and they have a project page, and they can keep it updated as changes happen. And we've seen, like you picked on bridges, and I understand that because we've had some real challenges. But there's a good example where a little communication would really go a long way. And so we're trying to improve upon that. And that's one of the steps we've taken to try to improve the communication.
Again, I think it's important to put out expectations.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of it. This is what we're basing it on. The contractor's done their planning. This is what we believe it to be. And there's a lot of different variables. The key ones are, and it could change.
Yeah.
But
Will do.
again, anyway, thank you.
Yeah, will do. Okay, on to item 28 is award of bid to Archer Western Construction for the construction of the South Cross Bayou Advanced Water Reclamation, Denitrification, Rehabilitation, and Dewatering Improvements. A little over $26 million. Questions? 29 is purchase authorization with Federal Contract Corp for multi equip generators. This is, provides utility north operations to purchase these. Yes?
You. 28. We have, you mentioned 27 million, or 20, yeah, just a little shy of 27 million. I think this is an important one to, not all of that's going to be reflected in an increasing utility rates because of this project. There's a lot of money that's coming from ARPA on this project, right? Looks like, did I miss that? Or-
Jeremy's up. He can explain it.
Good morning, Jeremy Wall, Interim Utilities Director. Yes, approximately $20 million of the $26 million is ARPA funded.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
I think that's an important point to make to our residents, that those rates, I'm not saying that that may have caused an increase in rates, but when you add those up from the ARPA spending on our infrastructure, that does help us keep the rates down, so.
Yep. Absolutely. Item 30 is submission of 2 Utility Department Resilient Florida grant program applications. This is requesting additional money. Total grant amount requested is $12.3 million with a county match of the same amount. This would provide not only for utilities building hardening, but also to be able to do additional mobile home wastewater collections. County Attorney will have a report, maybe?
Actually, I do have one matter that I wanted to broach with you all today that I have not gotten final information on, so it'll probably be something that will run again to you on Tuesday. As you're aware, we're involved in litigation regarding the PACE program with a PACE operator that sought a bond validation judgment in Tallahassee and included some issues that were beyond the bond validation and are using that to assert that they have authority statewide and can simply ignore your requirements. There is a working group with the Florida Association of County Attorneys I was on a call with yesterday, and they're working on a legislative program and are going to be proposing language to supplement, or I shouldn't say supplement, clarify the existing law in this area to basically close that loophole with some finality. And they were asking, would the counties be supportive of that legislative program? So conceptually, I wanted to float that to you. I don't have the language of the actual policy yet because this was yesterday. I expect it will be complete by Tuesday. And basically, we're just going to be seeking consensus of the board that they will support FACA in that policy statement toward a legislative policy to fix that PACE issue. So just heads up.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, we'll be taking that up for more discussion at the Legislative and Innovation Policy Committee Conference in September. So that's just next month. So it'll be through committee.
Under County Administrator's report, I'm going to show a quick video of the work that they did to complete the sidewalk work. I think Communications did a really good job with it, but it really recognizes the staff that, and as you see the video, you can just see the pride that they took in making the improvements, to our infrastructure. So,
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see, and it's all caught up now, the number of trip and falls that maybe perhaps, cut back a little. Because those are some big numbers that we run into, so.
Commissioner, you identified a lot of those on your morning walks, so,
That was the one benefit of COVID. The only one I can think of was that I had to walk a lot, and you
we'll
could
get
see a
Commissioner
lot.
Scott, he'll probably give us 10 times more if he runs on the sidewalk, so.
Yeah.
All right, go back to the public hearings. The first one is the second of 2 public hearings on the countywide plan amendment for the TEALS update that you previously received a briefing on. Item 35 is amendments to Chapter 70 of the county's Council for Persons with Disability, providing non-board appointed members and providing a lower quorum and for an effective date. And I think the county attorney's office is going to cover this at the meeting. Any questions? We can cover then. Item 36 is our amendments to Chapter 134 and Chapter 138 and Chapter 154, our site development codes. I think staff did one-on-ones with you covering these. If you have any questions. Oh,
And if I could add one thing, if you'll note within your package, there's an option 2 in there as far as a strikeout and underline. The reason for that was Senate Bill 250 came through while all of this was being developed, so there's a deletion of one little piece in there. It's just, I wanted to call that to your attention.
so again, they're outlined. The types of improvements under 36 are improvements to the process for efficiency, site plan threshold flexibility, minor plat processes, and comply with state preemptions. Item 37, similar, this talks about the notice requirements for the DRC. And again, just trying to drive efficiencies into our process. Those were part of your review. Item 38 is a petition for, let's see, 40 feet by 203 feet of unimproved right-of-way. Staff recommends approval. 39 is a vacation, a portion of a right-of-way. Again, staff doesn't have any problems with this, so recommends approval. Well, we have a lot. 40 is petition to vacate a 16-foot platted alley. Staff recommends approval contingent upon retention of a 16-foot public alley access easement on the petitioner's property, which would replace the existing public alley easement. Item 40 is a request for a zoning change from employment and general retail to general retail and services on 3.52 acres. This is to accommodate 136-room, 6-story hotels proposed. The development agreement is required in this type of area. I'm getting even confused on this one. Oh, this is over at the airport, correct? Yeah. Yeah. I didn't underline this one for some reason, so. And any other question, Tom, any other things I missed? Okay, questions? Item 42 is an ordinance amending the, removing the tenant bill of rights as a result of the state law change. Item 43 is approving a one-year extension for Safety Harbors CRA. They requested additional time. The amount will be amended, though, to comply with our policy, which is at the 50% rate, and then they'll bring back the plan when they complete the work.
Barry?
Yes.
On this, it seems like we've done this already. We've done one-year extension already, and nothing was really finished. I just was trying to get an update maybe at the meeting on Tuesday.
Okay.
Kind of, why would we get another extension?
Tom knows. Tom briefed me on it. I forget exactly what they were trying to work on, but he can brief you on Tuesday. Item 44 is what we previously discussed, which is our amendments to the county towing ordinance and updating the fees. Item 45 is it's a supplemental 2023 operating budget for unanticipated revenues and emergency communications, opioid abatement, and street lighting districts, and realigning various funds from the American Rescue Plan. And the breakdown is within your packet. And that concludes the agenda.
I got a question.
Commissioner Peters?
The towers, I typically hear from the towers when we got something on the ordinance. I haven't heard from the towers. I'm assuming that they've all been,
That's a good thing.
Well, and the last 2 times we had something come up about the towers, and I let them know they didn't know about it. So I just want to make sure that that's not going to happen again.
So Doug has met with them. My question was back to what happened before, which is we met with a group and then another group come in and said, well, they don't represent us. And so
Did we get both groups this time?
I've asked that he meet with everybody.
Okay.
And I don't know the group, so
Okay.
I'll
Well,
make sure we're
I'll be
ready to
reaching
answer
out
that
to
on
them.
Tuesday.
Okay.
We'll follow up and make sure he's met with all groups.
Okay. I will reach out to them, and if they have not been reached out, I will let you know.
Okay,
Okay, and that way it's before Tuesday.
yes.
Okay.
That'd
And
be,
I,
that would be great.
okay, I do have something else that's different business, if that's okay, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
So, you know, the state law did licensing. They're eliminating a lot of licensing, and I understand that there are some licenses that when they get eliminated, that is problematic. But then there is licenses like painters, if you haven't heard from the painters yet, that license requirement ends in 2024. And there's no unintended consequence to letting them go now and not be licensed. And now I've talked with people at the license board, and they want to hang on to it for some reason. And she said, the person said that they got 400 painters that said that they want to keep their license, but yet the people that reached out to me was the association that represents 480 of the painters, and all of them want that license to go away. It's just a burdensome process that's going away in less than a year anyways. And I just think that it would be important for the staff to go ahead and let this license go away, let them go ahead and do their business the way they're going to be doing it. And I think it ends July 1st, so in June, nobody's going to be coming for more licenses, and just let it go now. And so if, Barry, if that's okay, if you could have staff look into it. I think it's okay with this group. There's no unintended consequences with this group, that we can go ahead and let that, you know, expire sooner than waiting until 2024. If that's okay. I think that's something we should be able to push forward. And so I'm hoping you could look into that.
So, yeah, this is, yeah, correct. This is the whole licensing issue through the licensing board. And the problem when the state eliminated the license is that the Florida Building Code requires you to have a license in order to pull a permit. And so they eliminated subspecialty licenses, but then if you did that, then when somebody goes to pull a permit, they can't, I mean, by law, you can't issue them a permit. And so that created a problem. So what it in essence did is that subspecialty license that only does garage doors will now have to go get a license for it to be a general contractor, which is to be able to do the garage doors that they've done for 20 years, right? And so that's what was bumped out for a year. So they've kind of kicked that down, and then they're trying to create those subspecialty licenses at the state. I thank you for the heads up on this one, because staff, I think, did look at this, and it doesn't create the unintended consequence, which is that you have to have a license in order to pull a permit. And so let us look at that and bring that back to you. I think you're correct on that from talking with Tom, but let us look at it and bring a recommendation back.
Okay. I hope we can expedite that one.
And if I could, I just want to point out this is the construction licensing board that creates these licenses and deals with that. It's not the BCC by special act. So just understand that while the special act wasn't changed, that we provide staff to do the enforcement and all that those kinds of things. To actually change that licensure category outside of what the state legislature is doing, it would be the PCCLB board that would do that. So it's nuanced in this process thing. I didn't want to get lost in the weeds.
So we don't have influence on that? We have to get that board to do this?
They're the ones that by special act are the ones that do the local license categories, yes.
Do we appoint the board? I don't even remember.
Well, how about more to come on that? We'll get back to it on Tuesday.
We'll look at both issues and bring it back to you. How about that?
Thank you.
Okay.
And before we end today, I have 2 things to put in your minds. We'll finalize it on Tuesday. But it is my intent to appoint Commissioner Flowers to the PSTA Board of Directors because her term expires in September. So if that meets with everybody's approval, I would like to
You mean
have
for
her
the balance of the
continue.
year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's fine.
they'll come back
Yep.
to us with whoever needs to be replaced. Is that all right with you, Commissioner Flowers? And secondly, a couple of meetings ago, we talked about the dues for the, is it the Mayor's Council? The Mayor's Council. So they've lowered their cost, their dues from $1,000 to $800. And my question to all of you is, do you want to pay the $800 or do you want us to go back to them again? Because I'd like to know what they're using the money for, since we have to pay for our lunch anyway when we go there. Commissioner Latval?
I'll be the curmudgeon and be against that. And because weren't we paying like $250 or something like that, or 400? So I'll support keeping it at 400, but not raising our dues.
Yeah. Is everybody, Renee?
Madam Chair, I did do a little digging to try to find out why the increase was, and it was because the Florida League of Cities staff now staffs that, and so it goes to pay those salaries for the Florida League of Cities, which is what required the bump. I think at our last meeting, I know I said I'd be willing to kick in 100 out of my personal budget. I think Commissioner Edgar said the same. So that'll get it to $600 of the 800. I'd be willing to do that, but, it would be the regular 400 plus 100 and 100. But it was another large dollar amount that we provide. Something. It was another large dollar amount. It wasn't just the dues that we pay. It was something else that was a pretty big number that we pay that goes into this as
I
well.
don't think it was in this. It was something else.
It wasn't this one? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The numbers are, but anyway, so I'm willing to do that. So that would be 600. I appreciate that we go, and yeah, we do pay for our lunch, and it's nice to give an update to the mayors about what's going on here, and then them telling us, whatever they would like for us to know, but that's a nice little jump.
Well, I've been there a couple of times representing the county commission. They didn't even let me speak.
Me too.
So I don't think,
yeah, I
thank
spoke.
you. I so appreciate your support. And I,
They probably wanted to keep their meeting short.
You know what? You going.
I support Commissioner Latval's point to keep it at 400, and Commissioner.
So, if you're going to reach out to them, I would want to know if every city is giving dues, because if they don't have all 24 cities in it, then, that's a problem right there. Like, every city should be in that.
I
And
agree.
they don't meet at the hotel anymore. They're
No,
meeting at the
they-
Tampa Bay Regional Planning Center, so they
Right.
don't even have to pay that fee.
And,
that
and,
costs for
and they're only meeting 4 times a year. So, that's a big, these are big increases. That's a big increase for significantly less time spent. And I like that they went to the Regional Planning Council. I don't know if they're paying rent there or not, or what they're
No,
doing.
they're
but-
not.
It's the-
But
yes.
I like that they're being good stewards of their money and doing that. I think that was a good decision on their part. But yeah, if they don't have every city involved, I don't want to be paying the burden for them because they didn't get every city involved. I think, so I think it'd be interesting to hear if all 24 cities
Got it.
are in it. So,
Tony,
but,
you'll see if you
but I'm
can
with
find
Chris
that out
Latvala on
before.
that. And Madam Chair, you're not the only one. When I went the last time, I wasn't allowed to speak. I didn't speak either.
So there. Do you have anything to say to
They
that?
didn't let me speak either. So.
They let me speak.
And we are on the agenda, and they just
Yeah.
went right over it, and.
Tell them we'll do 400, but we want a speaking slot.
Well, in 4 meetings, that means some of us wouldn't even go a whole year.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand, I guess the part I think we should be part of the mayor's council. We've developed pretty good relationships over the years that wasn't so good not too long ago. So I like that we're participating, but what I don't get is what, and I remember, like, if I was an incoming chair of the mayor's council, I brought my clerk, the clerk did the work for that year, and it wasn't anything to do with the League of Cities. And if that's what's driving the cost, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know
Mike
why.
Siddick's former executive secretary is now the staff person. If you went, she has short hair, she's
Yeah.
sitting right out front.
But-
She's
but-
now the,
But we didn't have that,
assigned
we
person.
didn't have the Florida League of Cities
Yeah, but that's
running
what-
these 3 meetings a year, because the 4th one is the Christmas dinner, so.
Right.
I mean, it's not, I want to support it, so I'll still, I might even throw 150 in, but
Well-
I think we need to support it, sorry.
I didn't
I didn't say you, Commissioner Justice, I'm saying me.
Tony's
Well,
going to
you
do
can
some.
pay for it all.
Hold on.
Well,
Tony's going to do some research, and we'll let you know on Tuesday.
well, now you're playing poker. I wanted to play poker with,
Now
the
you're
county
being naughty.
administrator later.
Meeting is adjourned.
Wait a minute.
oh,
wait.
no, Dave got, and I got 2 things I want to.
Okay. Commissioner Eggers, if you must.
Well, no, these are short ones, but I've heard from a couple of cities that are trying to get, they have new facilities that they're moving into, and something is going on with the TV stations or the cable companies and jacking their prices up, not only operationally, but capital-wise. It's a big number, so just on our front, be aware of that. But I'd like to have somebody dig into that to understand the reality of it, and these groups that espouse we're going to do things for our residents, but then hit these cities with astronomical costs when they change facilities. So it's all tied to that. So if we could just have maybe somebody look into that, so I understand the facts from,
Well, we can certainly do that, but it's probably going to be really up to the individual city and their
well,
negotiations.
it'll be up to us too if we do
Well,
our
if we,
thing.
if we
So-
get, yeah, I understand that.
So I'd rather just understand it.
Okay,
These
I'll
are
ask Barbara to
services for our
Find
residents.
out what she can find out, but
What?
I'll ask Barbara to look into
No,
what
that's
we
all.
can
I just
find
want to
out.
understand what they're doing.
Okay.
So to the extent that we can, find out from our Duke Energy people, suggestions about how people can try to keep their costs down and what it means to them to cut their, I think we just need to see what we can do to help out our residents. It's, apparently, those rates are going through the roof. And I think it's more, I don't think it's on the rate piece, but it's on the usage. But I don't know. So can
Yeah,
we?
I mean, Duke has, and I hate to try to, push information out from another. I mean, I get stuff all the time from Duke, about, save energy, do this, things like that. I'm sure that they do have certain programs and stuff. We can provide a link to the things that Duke offers. I'm not sure we're going to get much clarification.
Well,
on
again,
that.
I think we represent our people and our residents, and I think they need to understand that this is hitting them hard. And so anything they can do to push out information, I think, is helpful. And let me see, I think that's it for now. Have we gotten the word around now that we are meeting in here from now on?
Yes, so our meeting on Tuesday will be in the Assembly Room. We have advertised public hearings that were in process. The meetings, which is the 2 budget hearings for September, will be in this room, and we have advertised it accordingly
And I'll be attending virtually
for next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes.
Nothing else? So Commissioner Flowers?
Yes, ma'am. Question, I don't know if we entered the Florida Association of Counties calendar photo contest last year. I didn't know if we were interested in doing that again this year.
Well, the voices in the back heard you, and I'm sure they
You just
look
choose
at that
whatever photo
information.
that you think looks
Right.
really nice, you send it up. And so if you want to
Yeah.
do that, I'm just throwing that out. So I'm only asking because this was asked of me. I don't support this. But apparently HB 657 dealt with the passage of speed cameras in school zones. And Senator Roussan and Rep. Rayner and some others did support it, and it passed. And so I was asked if we are considering that. I don't support it, but I'm just saying, I'm just asking because it was asked of me.
We have, as staff, well, at least at my level, have not had any conversations with that. We do have our transportation folks do meet with the school board. So I'm not sure who generates the request for something like that, whether it's the schools or
I'm
or
not
us. I'll ask that question. I don't know.
I likened it to the other issues with the cameras. So, and I'm not talking about this for this year because I know we have some other things going on. But I know I called Lourdes and just asked if we had any cooling centers.
Yeah.
And I would love for us to just kind of think about it, even if we partner with another city, because for the last 3 days, of course, we've had the heat warnings. If you're over 50 years of age, please, XYZ, XYZ. And, who knows what each summer will be like, but it is becoming increasingly hot, and some people those that are unhoused may not have access to places to cool off. So just not this year, but just
Yeah.
maybe something to think about.
Well, I think it's more of a coordination, Commissioner, because the people that have the facilities are either the municipalities or the organizations in the unincorporated area. The county doesn't own facilities to house people. So it would be a library, it would be a community center, so an unincorporated, like a facility. And so they control that. And so I think it's more of a coordination to ask what people are doing.
that's all I'm asking for.
And try to get that information out, because we have had several requests on this.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I raised that. And so I'll discuss it with Lourdes and Karen, and to try to enhance that effort.
Okay. And my last thing is, I did reach out to Tom with housing because there was an article that dealt with the freezing, if you will, of funds from the Florida Housing Coalition. And so Tom gave me the information as it relates to us. So we don't have any issues or concerns. But even with the item that's going to be on our agenda for the 16 units for the disabled, I saw in their request where they are depending upon dollars from the Florida Housing Coalition, and they don't have any idea of when they will unfreeze this department for those funds. So if they don't do that, and you see the dollar amount for the project we may approve on Tuesday, that is a significant amount of money for them, and I can't see them moving forward with their project without those funds.
Right.
So I would just like for us to kind of look at that, because, we have no idea when it's going to happen or whatever, and so just kind of keep a track on that as we are approving these projects that come through. We have no idea when those dollars will in fact be released. And that was, Tom, that was my reason for asking. I knew I was okay with the response you gave for us, for the county, but it's affecting those people who we're approving, who are receiving funding. And so we're basing our funding as a result of what they've shared with us that they anticipate getting. And we have no idea when those dollars will be released. So that's it for moi.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
No?
Thank you.
Well, then I guess meeting is adjourned.